And we are live. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of season 7 of The Sausage Factory. I'm your moderator, Pizzelle. Joining me tonight, I have got Ryo Magnifico. What's up, Ryo? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. What's up, you guys?
Very good. Very good. Very good. What are we drinking tonight, Ryo?
Coca-Cola Classic tonight.
Classic.
Sticking with the soft drinks tonight.
The classic. You never go wrong with the classic, man.
No, can't.
No. Also with me tonight's Monty. What's up, Monty?
Hello, gentlemen.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, man, I am living the life, man. Good day this week.
Awesome. Got the pound puppy over your shoulder again.
I got Pete with me again. I got this. I got my monster.
There we go.
Let's get it going.
I see you got a Roadhouse poster.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I saw too.
Awesome.
I had to get it. You guys saw what they did to my Conan poster.
Oh, you mean the Hulk poster?
It was, and I lost it, guys. I lost it when I saw that thing. I got my money back.
Good.
And don't hurt.
I wish you guys could have saw the picture of this poster. Monty sent to us, and it's Conan, but everything is green.
Where did you order that from?
It looked like the Shamrock Shake version of Conan.
Oh, I got it from Amazon, and it was I can't even remember what the vendor was called. I forgot the name. Matter of fact, I forgot about it after I ordered it, but I said I'll never order from them again. The whole thing was green. It's like, I mean, they should just gave me my money back. They were like, "We're so sorry, sir." I wouldn't send it back.
Where's the quality control there, man? Like they couldn't this looks like garbage. Maybe we shouldn't send this out.
Yeah.
I don't know about this, guys. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he'll like it all green. You never know.
Yeah, maybe he's into green. I don't know. St. Patrick's Day.
There you go. That was the St. Patrick's Day version of the code.
Yeah,
it was.
Also with me tonight's Jay the Stingray. What's up, Stingray?
What's up, guys? It's gonna be a fun one tonight.
What are we drinking tonight, Stingray?
Yep, same old. This is the McCafe French roast. They got a good bit of this stuff on sale, so.
Oh, very nice.
Is that a regular sized mug though?
No, this isn't.
Okay, I can't. Okay, there we go. That's bigger than my head.
This is how big it is compared to my head. Well, this makes my head look big.
Yeah.
That's the big boy mug. That's the big one. And also with me tonight, Orc. What's up, Orc? How you doing, man? You're muted.
You're muted.
I know I'm muted. I'm working with my laptop here. I had to close a tab. I was doing some research. Anyways, third-party sellers, if it's not from Amazon, and you're shopping on, .com or .ca, it's third-party sellers fucking kill me because I ordered a New York State flag. Seems simple, right? I got fucking New Mexico, and then they send me fucking New Jersey after I wait another fucking week and a half. And I'm just like, you know what? Just fuck it. If it doesn't say Amazon, maybe I'll try if it's like a rare game or something. But fucking third-party sellers, man, I swear to God. Just go to eBay. Fuck it. I hear you, Monty. Fucking.
Oh, no, I'm in total agreement.
Yeah.
There you go. Wise words from Orc. A new segment.
Mm-hmm.
An unbelievable segment.
And with us tonight as well, making his first appearance in some time, we've got Eric. What's up, Eric?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Pretty good, man.
I had to come back for Child's Play, man.
Had to come back to represent Child's Play. That's
These
understandable.
series retrospectives they're the hottest.
Problem is that these are on, and again, I understand this is the show, this is the time. I travel for work.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are like the prime time travel days. So it's like you always catch me on my return home. And so I finally had a week off and wanted to get in here.
Cool. Well, good to have you back. We've missed you. How have you guys been? Have you guys seen any good movies lately? Eric, I'll start with you since we've not seen you in a while. Have you seen anything good, bad, or indifferent lately?
Trying to think. There's nothing I've seen that's too. I saw Captain Marvel. I went out and saw that. I mean, that's not like under the radar or anything, but I liked it. Thought it was decent. Got me all warmed up for Endgame next month.
Monty, rebuttal.
Yes. I'll wait.
I don't. Yeah, I would say if you want to get in a debate about that, it's like I don't know. It seemed like a fine movie to me. It wasn't Thor: The Dark World. Like again, you want to start trashing that movie, I'll get there right with you. But I don't know. It seemed like a decent movie to me. The only thing if I didn't see it, but I want to see it, and I'm excited about it because the trailer just came out today, or a teaser rather, for the Deadwood movie. I don't know if there's fans of Deadwood here. I know this is usually a movie thing, and that's kind of a TV, but they finally released the teaser of that. It's coming out end of May. I am really psyched. It's really cool.
Cool. Let's see. Monty, what about you, man? You seen anything good lately?
Well, that's going to piggyback on what Eric said. I actually saw Captain Marvel. I didn't care for the film. It had nothing to do with all that stupid nonsense. I didn't care anything about that. I just didn't think it was a very good superhero movie. I wasn't very entertained by it. I thought it was dull. There were a lot of things in the movie where they were so trying to push girl power, and I don't have a problem with girl power because I'm not like a nutcase, so I was fine with it. But I mean, like we can watch old school movies, like we can watch The Matrix, we got Trinity, we can watch Terminator 2 with Linda Hamilton. Linda Hamilton backs it up with action. She doesn't have to go around and say, woman power, woman power. She just goes and she hits the dude with the broomstick and nightstick.
I don't.
Just does it.
I would need you to give me some examples because I gotta be honest. Because I went in expecting the movie was gonna hit me over the head with that, and I think part of why I liked it is that, but for one scene with music.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was pretty bad.
But for that scene, which again, the scene itself of what her kicking ass is pretty cool. Again, the song choice. Other than that song choice, I just again not getting into spoilers or anything, Monty, but give me an example because I don't recall that.
What song was it? Like Pat Benatar or some shit?
It was I'm just a girl.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Which that was like, come on, that was ridiculous. But the scene that got me in particular was, I think it was with the biker guy. So he's like some Roadhouse looking biker guy. Obviously, he's probably some sexual harasser. Right. She comes up, what was the line he said, Eric? I don't remember. He said something like, "Hey, mama, what are you doing?" Or something.
He called her like baby or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on.
So here's why I liked that scene, and this is playing off what you're talking about here.
Right.
She didn't like go up and punch him and be like, "Girl power, man." She kind of just gave him a look, and he walked away, and then she stole his shit. Like I thought they underplayed that, and I personally, again, you are entitled to your reaction to these things, of course. I felt like they had an opportunity to do what I think you're kind of saying that they were doing, and I just don't think they did. I thought they underplayed that really well in that scene. Again, we could talk about other examples if you like.
I guess for me, I don't feel it should have. I felt them putting it there was like them beating you over the. It wasn't beating you over the head, but I felt like the fact that they put that in there, I didn't feel like it was needed to me. But I don't know. It kind of felt like parts of it were trying to fit an agenda. Was what I did like versus the character. You know what I mean? Eric, I'm trying to think right offhand because I've only seen the thing once. It was like a week ago. But I'm trying to put some
we don't need to sideline the whole sausage. Let's get some time together. You and I can talk through this. But I'm sorry you didn't like it more. I had a good time.
This shit is fuck. McDonald's, coffee, McGriddles, Friday the 13th. Get back to the roots. Grassroots sausage factory campaign. Stick to your guns. No pun intended. Don't anybody. I love you guys.
I mean, I'll be honest. I thought the more offensive thing in the movie to me, I specified one song. There was other really lame '90s music. Like, didn't they play?
They overdid the '90s.
Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, okay, it's the '90s. I get it.
Yeah.
But like that to me was a little more hitting me over the head than the girl power stuff.
And I guess I gave it the pass because I had a TLC wet dream when I was like 13 and all that stuff was coming out. So I think I gave it a personal pass for that. I was kind of like, if TLC or the Spice Girls, I might go like, well, we we can let that slide.
Yeah.
Let me ask this one question. Do they rape Smells Like Teen Spirit in this movie?
No, it's not in there.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
She wears a Nirvana T-shirt, I think, at one point.
Yeah, she does.
But she wears band T-shirts. It's kind of her thing.
I was so scared that they were going to throw Smells
I
Like Teen
honestly
Spirit.
thought when they did the scene where they played "I'm Just a Girl," I don't know what it was in my head, but I was like, they're going to play fucking Teen Spirit, and then they didn't.
uh,
But I really thought for a second there they were going to do that. Anyway, I really like the movie,
Okay.
by the way, too. I don't know if I said that. I really like it.
what I think is interesting is like, you know, like Marvel's created this formula to just knock out these movies, and every one of them's a hit, and really, I mean, they're batting a very good average, because I mean, really, aside from like Iron Man 2 and that one Thor
Which
movie,
I defend.
Iron Man 3, I thought was worse than Iron Man 2. But okay.
well, Iron Man, I forgot there was an Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 2 and 3 and that Thor movie, everybody's like, yeah, they're all pretty good. There's been a lot of mixed feelings toward Captain Marvel, but you know, it's even when somebody has like mixed feelings toward one, I'm thinking like, okay, how did they mess up the formula? I mean, the formula is pretty cut and dried, and
Well, so actually, in terms of Captain Marvel, and again, I would encourage you to see it so you could judge for yourself, but I actually felt like they sort of subverted the formula to some extent. And Monty, I don't know whether you agree, but I felt like the way they told the story was sort of like almost a backwards origin story. I mean, without getting too deep into like the spoilers of it, it's kind of like she's sort of already like kind of Captain Marvel, like when the movie begins, and they sort of like assume in RoboCop that you had not seen the parts where like Alex Murphy was Alex Murphy, like before he died, and assume you sort of started the movie when he's RoboCop, but then he starts to sort of have like those visions of like when he was alive, like he sees himself in the house and stuff. Captain Marvel, and by the way, I'm cheating. They kind of gave an interview where they talked about this a little bit, but like they were kind of playing the story that way. That like they introduce you to assume, you know, she's RoboCop, but then she starts to sort of get like visions and in terms of investigating the story, kind of is remembering, figuring out who she was, maybe was like what's the mystery here of the story. I actually rather liked that. Monty, I think, thought some of that was dull, but I was sort of drawn in by the mystery of it, simply because unlike guys like Cole, like I'm not super deep into the comics, so I didn't really know much about Captain Marvel's origin. Maybe Raiho can check me on the comic stuff too, but I was into that mystery. Like I thought that was kind of a cool
I
part.
thought that they did
And
a
the
good
other
job.
movies didn't do that.
But I think the thing that to Pizal's point, how did they mess up the formula if they did? I don't know. It's still making gangbusters money. I like the movie a lot. They picked Captain Marvel. That's a character that is important in the Marvel U, but in my mind, it's not like Captain America. It's not like Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like they picked a character to really kind of push that isn't gold class, we'll say. Silver class or something like that. And that might be maybe a lot of people that are into more spacey stuff. They might be like, fuck you, because Captain Marvel's an important character. I get that. But, you know, for me, like when I went into the movie, I was like, I don't really care about Captain Marvel, so this could be cool. And it was.
Right.
So, but I think, you know, they were like, okay, we need to bring in this character for whatever reason. They've got a plan for the character. So they did the movie. It's a good movie, in my opinion. I thought it was the most comic booky of the ones that I've seen, actually, to be honest. The ending of that movie is like reading a comic book, like when she's up in space, like flying around and stuff.
Now,
I mean,
I will give it that. Because I don't want to get on like just a complete rant fest, but I will say, in reference, Eric, to doing like the Memento Pulp Fiction thing of doing it backwards, that was cool. And I will say also too, like to Ryle's point, that finale when she had the outfit on and she was grabbing the ships. That was bad. That was badass. That was serious. That was great. And yeah, I did like those things. It was just kind of and I will say I won't give too much away, but switching who you think is who, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
That was a twist I didn't expect either. Also, we haven't even mentioned Samuel Jackson at this point. To me, he's the heart of it. Everybody keeps talking about the damn cat, which, again, I like cats, so I thought that was fine. But, like, Samuel Jackson, to me, is, like, the heart and the comic relief of that movie, which just seems sort of funny to say.
It's a funny cop movie. He's the funny guy. He's the funny cop.
It's a weird, like that whole because while she's kicking ass in space and doing stuff, like Samuel L. Jackson is like comic relief, like running around tunnels and things, like with the ancillary characters, and that was just something that I didn't expect. I mean, again, the Samuel L. Jackson we'd seen to this point, he's got his eye patch. He doesn't say much. He's always real badass, and here he's like joking around and smiling and running around with cartoon cats and shit. I don't know. There was just something about it that was kind of fun.
It was a little. It was light. It was very lighthearted. He did kind of pull out some of his a little bit of the charm he had in Die Hard with a Vengeance or Long Kiss Goodnight. There was a lot of that charm in there.
Good references.
And he looked like he did in those movies. It was unbelievable how they did.
Yeah.
Well, Christian has joined us. What's up, Christian? How you doing, man?
Hey, Piz, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man. I'm sorry I'm late. Truth be told, I actually wasn't free tonight, but because I'm such a big fan of you and the show, I hauled ass, got everything done so I could be here. I got my Chucky with me, so I'm just happy to be here.
Cool.
Nice.
Did you check to make sure that there were batteries in the back of them?
Well, no,
It matters.
he's live already, but I bought him. I wanted him to be already, voodooed. So
Is that the one that who put out the full size like in the box and everything?
Trick or
that
Treat Studio.
Was it Trick or Treat? Okay.
No, this is actually a guy in the United Kingdom made this for me, so it's a custom.
That's
So-
I was
awesome.
gonna say I've not seen one that like that looks like the Chucky who's holding the whatchamacallit, the big yardstick from Child's Play 2, is it?
That's good because that's actually the exact scene that he's molded off of. So
I see. I'm a fan, right? Like that look on his face, like I'm
Yeah.
imagining
my buddy,
him, like strolling with the big yardstick. Like that looks just like him. Cool, man.
When he
Thank
gets
you.
that look on his face, man, it's so scary. He's pissed off.
That Trick or Treat Studios,
Chuck.
that Trick or Treat Studios Chucky doll is like $500.
I wanted it so bad. Oh man, I wish I had the money to get it.
That's steep, man.
I've
I
got
want
one
a
like this tall.
I'm gonna get a buddy doll. I know Piz is gonna get a buddy doll.
You know what? When I was growing up, I wanted so badly one of those, my buddy dolls. When I was a little kid, I wanted a My Buddy doll so bad.
I was going to ask you guys
My mom
who
just
had
wouldn't-
one.
My mom
I'm
just
sure-
wouldn't get me
yeah.
one.
I'm sure
I
there'll be
had
some
one.
cool merchandise, Piz. When the movie comes out, we'll probably get some buddy merchandise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had one.
I also wanted my buddy too, but I got Teddy Ruxpin instead.
Oh,
I had
that
Teddy
is
Ruxpin.
cool.
Yeah.
See,
I
I had
didn't even know
my
my
buddy.
buddy was a thing.
I had
did-
my buddy, and then Child's Play came out, and I was terrified for my life for quite a while. And I took it and I killed it at an abandoned house near me. So
Nice.
So
I
that,
took it, and
That's the one I'm saying.
that's the plot to the next Child's Play film.
I mean,
Nice.
that's my story too. That I used to, I had a My Buddy doll. I saw like a commercial on TV as a kid for like Child's Play 2. Was horrified, and I believe I was screaming in the middle of the night because he was like laying in the corner of my bedroom. My parents had to get rid of him. I don't know what they did with him, but he was gone like the next day.
yeah, I just saw the trailer for the first film. That's all it took.
I went to college with a guy who was petrified of dolls because of the Child's Play movie.
Mhm.
Petrified. Like you just show him a picture of Chucky, and he would freak out, like for real. So I mean, it had legitimately scarred him, and like he was still scarred even years later. He was grown. He's a grown man at that point. You show him a picture of a Chucky doll, and he's like, "Oh." So I mean, it was the scars were deep, man. Scars were deep.
Dolls creep me out still. Like those old antique style dolls.
Mm-hmm.
My mother-in-law collects those. They're just so fucking creepy, man.
Those are creepy. Have you seen anything good, bad, or indifferent recently, Stingray?
No, not really. I think I mentioned everything last week that was worth mentioning.
Okay.
Watched a lot of Child's Play films this week.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
That's all I've been watching too.
I refused to rewatch Seed. So spoiler alert, I did not like that one iota.
I watched Seed for the very first time.
Me too.
What is
Me
it?
too.
Oh wow.
Better man
This will
than
be a
me.
fun discussion.
I couldn't do it. You're better than I could.
I don't, and the thing is I don't even think I was like when it first came out. Again, I'm jumping ahead, but I think when that first came out, like I was not really interested. Like even the marketing for it didn't seem great. So I think I waited till like it was on Stars or something. Like we had, I don't know, it was like a free weekend on Stars, and I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And then I was just like, I'm really glad I didn't spend money on this. Like, this is not great at all.
Well, did anybody else see anything lately that they want to mention? Any good movies, bad movies, whatever?
I watched
rewatched. Sorry, never mind. Go for it.
Go for it.
I watched 976 Evil for the first time, and I had a good time with that.
Nice.
Ooh,
Good movie.
I watched a movie this morning called it's got Lance Henriksen in it. It's about the robot dog.
I like it already.
Man's best friend. Yeah.
Man's best friend, and I really like Lance Henriksen. He's just one of those actors, I guess. You just kind of, I don't know. I like the stuff he does. So that was
an
good.
awesome movie. Awesome movie.
I liked it. You know, I really enjoyed it. You know,
That's the one sheet I got Lance to autograph for me when I met him a few years ago.
Cool.
Is that Ali Sheedy as well, or am I mixing my Killer Dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I watched The Dentist, a slasher classic from the 90s.
Awesome.
This is great.
Oh yeah.
Awesome movie.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
976 Evil is awesome, dude. And
I had a good time.
You should track down the sequel too. The sequel's not really.
Yeah.
Go
I got
ahead.
it, Piz. I got one of those little Walmart. I did a cool video a while back called When Walmart Sold Cult Horror Movies. And it was all about those 8 movie packs you would buy with bloody murder and stuff. And I have one with 976 Evil too. So I'll have to pop that in and check it out.
Check that out.
Yeah, I think I've got that on one of those packs as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see who's watching with us tonight. See what's going on out in the chat. Our old buddy Jerpin is with us tonight. Movie Man 95, Joe Bob Tarheel, Dude 217, Chaz 4543. How you doing, man? Roland 666. How you doing tonight, man? Darkness Falls. What's up, Darkness Falls? Johnny Dean, how's it going? Manny Gatillo. What's up, Manny? CBN Seagal. What's up? Borderline 11. How you doing tonight, my friend? David Shaw. Chris Wynn is with us tonight too. Old buddy Chris Wynn, how you doing? So yeah, we've got a lively chat going already tonight. Are you guys looking forward to the new Pet Sematary or the Pet Sematary remake or reboot or whatever they're doing?
I am.
That it played at South by Southwest recently, and it got really good reviews.
Really?
I was kind of iffy until I started hearing that. I was like, I might see it, I might not, but it seemed to be getting such positive reaction that seems
for good stuff.
Yeah.
There's
So
2 reasons.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
There's two reasons I'd like to check it out. I want to see John Lithgow in the role of because John Lithgow, we already know how he can tear it up as a villain, and I want to see what they do with Zelda. Those are 2 reasons I want to see it. Because Zelda in the original still terrifies me to this day.
Yeah,
and I'm a grown man. Can they top that? Can they top that? Is the question.
well, from the reviews, basically, everybody said that like the first 2 acts are pretty much beat for beat the first movie, and then like the third act is like completely different out there. They do a whole new spin on it, and like it's supposed to be really whatever they do in the third act is supposed to blow you away.
Oh wow! Okay.
Hey,
So-
Piz, you remember the controversy? I guess controversy is not the right word. You know, when the trailer came out, everybody's like, oh my God, they gave away everything, yada, yada, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that by 2019, they like the trailer, do you think it was more so meant to make you think you know everything that's going to happen and they're a lot smarter than we are? Or do you think that they really did divulge too much? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, that might be the case, but I don't know. I don't know if they're that smart when it comes to marketing movies these days.
I wouldn't give them that.
Yeah,
It's going to be interesting to see. it's going to be very interesting to see because maybe I'd like to say, oh, I thought they gave away the movie, but clearly they tricked me. That would be refreshing, right?
Well, one big twist they definitely gave away because Gage doesn't get killed by the truck; it's the girl that gets killed by the truck and brought back. So I mean, that was a big.
That was the big thing. That was a big thing
that they should have not given away in the trailer. Seems like basically they gave away John Lithgow's death in the trailer.
Oh fuck!
Let's see.
I haven't watched the trailer because of that reason. I heard that it gives too much away.
Yeah.
Who knows, Piz? Maybe Gage's dumbass will run out in the street too, and they'll both get hit by the
Gage has to get hit by the truck, man. Come on.
No,
it's even in the book.
They'll both get hit by the damn truck. Everybody gets hit by the truck.
Bury everybody in the pet cemetery.
Or maybe, maybe the little girl gets hit, she comes back and she kills Gage, Or maybe the cat mauls Gage to death, never know.
Maybe the girl takes over the truck herself.
There you go.
You guys have just written all the sequels. I don't know. I thought the trailers looked creepy. So I'm interested to watch it, although I don't think Lithgow can outdo Fred Gwynn.
But what's funny is I don't think I've not seen like a trailer or anything for that movie in like forever.
I only saw one teaser. I don't even see the one you guys are talking about clearly. I only saw the one, I don't know, it was months ago now.
Well, there for a while, it was like playing before every video on YouTube. And I was just seeing ads for it everywhere. And now I don't see anything for it. So, I mean, I wonder what that's about.
They're out of money.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I feel like such a hypocrite because I'm always like, you know what? If you keep bitching about remakes, just stop going to see them. But it's like there's like nothing coming out horror wise in the theaters, man. So
we're suckers, guys.
I don't.
There's the new Child's Play soon.
Yeah, and I'll probably go see that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they can, they can do, like the new It movie that came out. I really liked it. You know what I mean? They can do a good quality remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. But it's the bad quality ones that, it just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth that it just stains every other remake.
It's kind of funny because I almost wonder if there's an analog with like superhero stuff. If you think about it, just stick with me for a second. Like when they first made like X-Men, and maybe even the first Spider-Man, and God, those late era Batman movies, like Batman, like those were terrible. They were awful. And Daredevil, Ben Affleck, that's terrible. It's awful. No one likes it. But then we started to see like really good, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, or the original Iron Man, and they started figuring it out. Similarly, if you look at like the remakes we've seen, I think a lot of the initial remakes were not very good. Like I think we've talked on here about like Black Christmas, and I think there's a divide. I don't think, and I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, Piz, I don't think the folks here liked it much. Similarly, I think there's the, oh God, the name's escaping me all of a sudden. It was 3D. Started the guy from Supernatural.
Not Bloody Valentine 3D.
I don't know how I forgot that. Like, I think there's a divide on that. I actually really dug that one, but again, I know there's some who don't. But meanwhile, then now you have like a remake like It. And we've seen some others in recent years that are really well done and really well thought through, and they sort of approach things from a different perspective. I almost wonder if there's becoming like a maturity in these remakes where like they've sort of finally keyed in on, to use sort of your terminology earlier, of like a formula, how to do it right. And I don't mean to demean it. Like, again, I liked it. I'm glad it was good. But it's interesting to me that it seems like they're, at least for me, they're hitting more now than they used to. And I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know if it's just the studios are trusting the right people with these projects, whereas before they would just give them to anybody.
I think it's more they're not as afraid of the source material anymore. It used to be like, we're going to do Pet Sematary because it's a Stephen King book and it's awesome. Right. And they take most of the parts of the book and they make a movie out of it, right?
Right.
With it was a mini series. They got a lot of it in there, but they had to condense it a bit and stuff like that. Now they're really trying to get down to the gritty details of the source material. Same goes with the comic book movies. When they made X-Men, they're like, we're just going to make an X-Men movie. We'll put them in some stupid suits and we'll have them run around. Wolverine will be there. that's all you need, right? Now they're going in and they're saying, okay, what's in the source material, and they're actually recreating all these storylines that are in comics or in the books, and they're getting down to the gritty details. I think that's what's changing things. I think that's why it to me wasn't so much a remake as it was a more faithful version of the you know what I mean? So.
And I think you've hit the key point. Is there seemed to have been in some cases like a fear of the source material, and I think with some Stephen King books, and in some cases I'd say rightfully so, it being a good example of that too. We've talked about the child orgy before. Like his books are weird. And you have to really think about how you put them on screen in a way that makes sense. And the same is true for comic book properties too. Like they do really weird stuff or very visual stuff. Like how do you depict that? I think we live in I really do, like a golden era for this kind of stuff. Like that movie like it could be made. And I'd say most King fans, movie fans like it. They're happy with it. And it sounds like Pet Sematary is kind of going along that same direction.
Well, and I think the producers of it have produced the Pet Sematary remake. So I mean, they're maybe they followed the same formula of let's give let's. And I think what you hit on something else too in the beginning. It's like, look at all the remakes that were just like given to the music. You can direct a music video that's 4 minutes long and super flashy. Well, here, direct the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Direct the Hitcher remake. You know what I mean? Oh, wait, they suck? How did that happen? We gave it to a talented music video director to make. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Do you guys think that also that with kind of stuff like what we're doing, like us movie geeks, with our voices being so much stronger with the internet, do you think that maybe they're kind of starting to listen to us? That like if you just kind of give us not completely what we want, but just give us parts of what we want, we will come out and pay. That's all we're asking for.
I've wondered about this, Monty. That question. At a certain point, and this was, I think, about 10 years ago, I started thinking that like it seemed like there were more and more movies coming out that were striking a real chord with me. Like they were kind of getting me, and I've been trying to figure out why that is. And like I don't know if there's just more people like us making movies, like actual geeky people,
right,
who they went to film school, but they were fans of like older like. It's Steven Spielberg is like the pioneer of filmmaking, and of course I know there were movies long before Steven Spielberg, but like you think of him as like a titan of filmmaking. Like a lot of the things he did, like he was one of the first people to do, or he did such a good job with it. But now you have like a generation, like 2 generations of filmmakers removed from him, who could be like geeks of his work and like turn out something like Stranger Things. Again, a TV show, not a movie, but. Like I would argue that show really captures some Spielberg-esque 80s vibes in a way that doesn't feel pandering. Like it feels like the 80s and like they mean it to, not just like, oh, it's the 80s and we're gonna have 80s music playing. Like
it's genuine.
It's exactly genuine. And so I mean, to me, that would be the answer, if there is any answer. That I think more people like us are getting the opportunity to make movies. People who genuinely care about those details.
Well, and those guys that made the showrunners for Stranger Things, the creators of Stranger Things, they directed a movie a few years before Stranger Things happened. I can't remember what it was called, but it was pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me see. What was it called? Whatever it was really good. You guys see the trailer for season 3 of Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah.
What you guys think about that?
I'm jacked up. I love Stranger Things. It's like I think Stranger Things is my spirit animal. Like, I can't wait for that shit. It's just like you said. Every bit of it speaks to me. The setting, the time, like the kids are all super friends and they're fun and like there's silly shit and then there's scary shit and there's like the special effects are great and I don't know, the whole thing just ties together for me.
I think anybody with kids here will appreciate this. The original season of Stranger Things, like my daughter was still sort of young. We're still sort of reeling from being parents. our days of binging Netflix shows all day, which we used to do, like when a new season of like House of Cards would drop, you're like, well, there goes the weekend. Like those days were gone.
Yeah.
And I had just been hearing all this buzz. Like I read an article on IGN, like, Stranger Things is real. You should check this out. We watched like 6 straight episodes, like stayed up till like 2 a.m. And I give that show credit. Like that pulled us back into binge culture for better or worse. Our daughter's well cared for, just so it's clear, but it's that good. Like, and actually, I think you're hitting on something there about Stranger Things too, about like it's goofy and it's funny and it's sort of romantic and genuine and then really scary. I sometimes feel like movies now, and again, it would be an example of a movie that doesn't do this, but it seems like there's always like a compartmentalization. It's like, well, there's the humor in the movie is here, the kids are here, and then there's the horror. This is the final act. I feel like Stranger Things was kind of like embracing that 80s sort of Goonies quality where, yeah, we have little kids in our movie, but there's a scary friggin' monster who might eat their face. And just throw everything into it. Like, I think that's what I respect about it more than anything. It was unflinching. It's like, oh yeah, here are these cute kids, and there's a horrible monster that's chasing them. And the movie didn't like guard against it, or I'm sorry, the show didn't guard against it. It like embraced that quality. I think it makes it better.
Hidden is the name of that movie, by the way.
Hidden.
I wasn't sure.
didn't know.
Or I see Road to Moloch is something else on there. It's a short film.
Yeah. Hidden, it stars Alexander Skarsgård, the brother of the guy who plays Pinhead now. Or not Pinhead, but Pennywise now.
Yeah, I have seen that. It's a pretty good film. The Duffer Brothers.
Duffer Brothers, yeah. I didn't know anything about this, so I'll check that out. I'll have to check it out.
It's pretty good. Well, let's go ahead and let's dive into the retrospective. Let's go all the way back to the year 1988, or as Jeremy would call it, the year Jeremy was born. So,
good year.
It's good year. Good year for horror. 1988, Child's Play. Do you guys remember? Child's Play is one of those movies that, like, I mean, if you're of our age, and I think we might be a little bit older than you, Christian. I'm not sure how old you are.
26. Yourself, Piz. I was watching real Ghostbusters cartoons and playing in the dirt. So,
yeah, I'm the baby.
For those my age or near my age, like Child's Play seemed to be like one of those. It's a required watch for you growing up, and like there's no like even my girlfriend who was a huge non-horror fan back in the day, she saw Child's Play. Somebody had it, forced her to watch it, so everybody has seen Child's Play. But I mean, who just feel free to dive in. Do you guys remember the first time you saw the movie? What kind of impression did it leave on you? Like I was 8 when it came out. I don't remember any trailers or anything, but I certainly remember that VHS and the artwork for the VHS and thinking like, okay, this looks good. Yeah, exactly. With the Roger Ebert quote on it, Chucky's one bad SOB.
Oh, wow.
So,
I distinctly remember seeing the previews for Child's Play on regular TV. And at that time, that was before Chucky caught, because it was just that movie. But I remember all they showed in the previews was his silhouette walking down the hallway with that snake knife that they never brought back in the other movies.
Yeah.
That was and the chick and the friend falling out the window. That was all they showed in the previews, I remember. And I never saw it. Fast forward, I think a year, whatever it was, my cousins were like, Chucky, Chucky, Chucky. And I'm like, who the hell is Chucky? Like, who is that? And they're like, Child's Play, Chucky. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, my aunt rented it from Errol's video store.
Errol's.
Rented it from Earl's video store with the case with the foam on the sides. And we watched it. And I was just like, I wasn't blown away by it, but I was really just like, what the hell? This is like, I've never seen anything like this before. It was really different. And it was just every time Chucky was on screen, it just blew me away. because it's just Brad Dourif's interpretation of that character is so strong, and he's not in that much of that first movie. You know what I mean? It just it really had a big impact on me, just with the one-liners and the look at me and the animatronics of watching him move. It was just really unique because you were just so used to Freddy and Jason at that time. So I was really just hooked by Brad Dourif's performance and the animatronics. I wasn't scared by it though, not at all. I think that homeless guy was a little bit more scarier to me when he tried to hump the mom. That scared me to death, man.
Well, one thing that I took away from it even then, that I take away from it even now, and I watched it earlier today with Jeremy, is like, it's really a dark movie. And of course, I mean, the sequels went far off into they went the same route as the Nightmare on Elm Street. They got more and more comedic until you went to basically, I mean, they're just at this point, I mean, they're just campy, silly comedies, really.
But then they honed it back in though with some of the newer films.
They
darker again.
They reeled it back in with Curse. Yeah, absolutely. They reeled it back in with Curse, which was a good thing. But it's a very dark movie, and it's one thing that the MPAA hates is when you put a child into a dangerous situation, and they are constantly putting the child into a dangerous situation. Like watching it today, like the part where the kid is with the doll on like the train going deeper and deeper into the city, like
in Chicago.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like horrible things, you know what I mean? This poor kid. But yeah, I mean, it's a really dark movie. And like are you guys aware of what Don Mancini's original idea for the movie was?
Yeah.
Was basically the doll was supposed to be more lifelike. And like, if you cut the doll, it would bleed. So Andy cut the doll and then cut himself, and they became blood brothers. And some of Andy's blood went into the doll. And so the doll, whatever, Andy didn't like his teacher. So the doll killed his teacher. Andy had all these hangups because he's with his father, because his father's not there. Everything was sort of imbued, all of his fears, all of his hatred was imbued into the doll. But you didn't know if it was him or the doll killing people until really toward the end.
Right.
So, of course, they changed a lot of that around, threw in a whole voodoo thing and just made it a killer doll movie in the end, which works. But they definitely, he had something a little deeper going there.
Isn't there a different? Because I've heard that, but I've also heard that they played with the audience's expectations a little bit about it too, where there's like another draft where Chucky was still always like the killer and he was still the guy, but that the movie played more with the idea of you didn't know. Like it always seemed like the kid probably did it, but then it is revealed to be the doll. Like, is that the same idea? Is that just sort of an evolution of what they did with it?
I never heard anything about that, but I tell you what, I watched that interview that he did, that Don Mancini did on Postmortem, the Mick Garris show, which I really like. Mm-hmm. And basically, all he basically said in that was this thing that Pizzal said of his story. And I'll keep this short. I may open up a can of worms, but thank you, Jesus Christ, for Tom Holland, because the more Don Mancini talks, the less I like him. So everything he did, Don Mancini did, I just think is crap. I'm not excited about his TV show. It's going to be just ridiculous, I think. So I like Tom Holland. I think he's an unsung hero in horror in general. I just like the way the movie went. I wouldn't have wanted the Blood Buddies thing. I really like that he was a voodoo doll. But I'm a Tom Holland fan, so.
Well, Don Mancini and the other writer on the movie were actually kicked off the set because they threatened to sue Tom Holland over the changes that he made to the script. He was the big proponent of
right, yeah,
and all that jazz.
It was clear that there was some problems between them, but But you look, Don, get out the way. Tom Holland knows what he's doing, and he clearly got it right, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
It's a good movie and it's all Tom Holland, in my opinion. He fixed it. So that's just my opinion.
Well, and that
opinion.
movie was also like, I mean, like I can remember like my mom watching that movie with me and being like, you know, into the movie because of the cast. It's got a really good cast in it with Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know. There was something about, because I remember watching the sequel, and like my mom was watching the sequel with me, and she was like, "Wait a minute, where's the cop at? You know, where's the mom at? You know, I mean, a cop. Multiple people saw this doll alive. Where are they now? You know what I mean? So that like blew the move part 2 for her entirely. So,
well, they explained it away. Again, I don't want to jump ahead to part 2 so fast, but like, I actually always felt like that explanation to some extent works, because, like, I mean, seriously, like, it makes sense to me that like the police department, even if the cop is saying it, like, what the police department's gonna say, oh yeah, the killer doll did it. And it also makes sense that they'd, like, if that's what the mom is insisting, there's all these dead people around, like, that they'd commit her. I'm usually not a fan of writing out original cast and losing people. That was one scenario where I actually thought it kind of made sense, given the fiction of this, the reality of this fiction, that like that didn't bother me as much.
Well, everyone that saw the doll talk like was committed. Like, no, you're going into the institution, buddy.
Well, if you think about it, I think although I kind of like the idea about that storyline that you kind of talked about there, Bizel, but I think that the strength of Child's Play is its accessibility. I mean, you said at the beginning, everyone saw it. It wasn't the scariest horror movie to go watch. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you were watching, Michael Myers or Jason, and they were like slaughtering, teenagers. It was a doll. It was a goofy little funny doll. Yeah, he's scary as fuck, and he screams, and and Brad Dourif sells the whole thing. But it was a more accessible movie that more people could, if you weren't even into the scary movies, you could get through Child's Play.
It was scary to me because Chucky watched me sleep.
Well, that's different. You have a different perspective.
And I think, just to talk about the doll for a second. I mean, we all were, I mentioned it before. I really wanted one of those My Buddy dolls, like badly. Like I wanted a My Buddy doll so badly, and like Mom just wouldn't get me one. So it seemed like Child's Play played on the fact that a lot of people have these My Buddy dolls. So let's just, I can imagine them like going, oh, we're going to scare the shit out of those kids. You know what I mean? They're going to throw those dolls away. You know what I mean? It's like, even like this thing, like this was supposed to be Jeremy's.
Oh, wow.
Like this was supposed to be Jeremy's. And Jeremy was like, yours. He like pushed it back. He was like, no,
I don't want that. That's scary as shit.
Yeah, he didn't want it. Like I bought it for him. I thought, because he says he loves it, but he just kind of looked at it like he thought it was going to come alive. And of course, when I pushed the back of it,
I don't have a problem with killing. I like a little killing now and then. What's wrong with that?
he was like, no, that's yours. Get that away from me.
Yeah.
It should be commended that I think only Brad Dourif could deliver a line like that. And like you hear like the genuine perspective of like he's voicing like a very deep philosophical thought there.
You know what? Have you guys seen the rehearsals on the Child's Play DVD where Brad Dourif and
hilarious
are acting out the scenes?
Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
If I was acting opposite Brad Dourif, I don't know if I could actually make it through the entire shoot, because when he turned it on, he's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see that look in his eyes when he says that line, "You bitch," it's like, whoa, this guy's serious.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you got this little red-haired doll, and he sells every fucking line. I mean, he nails every one of them. Is like I watched the first 3 in the last couple of days, and that's the thing that I took away from all of them, is that if Brad Dourif wasn't in there, he nails it every time. You're right. Every time he says something, I want to picture him actually doing the scene, because I mean, he actually takes it.
Oh, dude, look up the rehearsals. Look up the
I'm gonna
rehearsals.
look them up right now. Actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check those out.
I've never seen those either. But he has the advantage, I think, of being like a genuinely great actor. I mean, if you think about if you remember when we talked about kind of like you guys did. I was just a happy fan at this time. But when you talked about like the slasher genre of the 80s, there was like the concept of like, hey, let's have a bunch of like young people and young casts, and then we're going to get like a Hollywood veteran to sort of be like the voice of wisdom or the maybe savior like Dr. Loomis or something like that. Child's Play kind of went a different way. And I'm not saying Brad Dourif was necessarily like a Hollywood titan. He certainly wasn't and isn't. But like, he's a fantastic actor. And I think that means something. Like, you know that when you're doing voice acting in particular, that's a different skill than just, physical acting. I mean, again, there's a whole industry around voice actors and that being kind of in its own thing. And I think it's similar to like Freddy, man. Like Robert Englund is Freddy. Mm-hmm. I actually think I didn't mind, and I forget his name now, but I didn't mind the dude from the remake, even though I didn't really like that movie. He seemed fine. Like I could have accepted him. But I just, like Ryhouse said, like I don't know that any other voice would satisfy me.
That's going to be one of the big things about this new Child's Play movie. The movie could be absolutely amazing, but if they don't have the right person voicing Chucky, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
Right.
I feel like they're going to have to go a completely different direction. It can't be someone trying to do an impression of Brad Dourif,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When it comes to Brad Dourif, I got 2 words: Exorcist 3.
Oh man.
Yep.
One of till I can't watch it till this day. I mean, I got the Blu-ray, the Scream Factory. I'm telling you, that movie. I was raised a Catholic, and I guess just the imagery from that movie scares.
I'm the same way, man.
I'm with you, Christian.
I haven't watched it yet. I got the Blu-ray.
Scared. I was raised in Chalmette, Louisiana, bottom of the boot. I mean, I was in the root of Catholicism growing up, and all that imagery, the Mary statues, the Jesus statues, that's scary in itself to me. But that movie, I think, is one of the greatest psychological thrillers of all time. And Brad Dourif is just terrifying, terrifying. For God's sakes, he's terrifying in that movie. Just fabulous stuff. So I'm sorry, but I wanted to mention that movie because I love it.
Well, Resurrection Reviews mentions. Steve, our buddy Resurrection Reviews, mentions in the chat that Brad Dourif might be the most underrated actor of his generation. And I mean, that's probably, at whatever movie he's in, like I was watching Critters 4 the other day. And I mean, that's not a great movie, but he's in there giving it his all. And he's it's like he doesn't matter what the movie is, doesn't matter what the role is, doesn't matter what the budget is. He's 100% committed to whatever it is.
Do you guys remember his episode of X-Files?
Yes,
I do vaguely.
He absolutely. I love the X-Files, so I'm a bit biased, but he just can't help but nail it. Like he's so good at it.
Well, and I mean, look at Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I mean, he is so he just like comes out of the blue in that movie with like an amazing performance.
Yeah,
right.
A performance that's so much like that performance shouldn't be in that movie. You know what I mean? The performance that good shouldn't be in that movie.
I don't particularly like either of those movies, but I've always told you I want to do a show where we talk about like movies we hate or movies that are good, but like what is an aspect of that movie do you actually really like? I really like Brad Dourif's turn as the sheriff in in both his first one and the second one. I know in the second one he takes it up a level, but I very much, there's more pathos to his sheriff feels kind of like a guy who's he's trying to do his job, and then it's like, oh shit, what's going on? And he plays that very well. And it's also noteworthy, it's Brad Dourif is a good guy, which is also why I kind of like him in Deadwood. Like he's not the horrible murderer or the big terrible person. He's, kind of just a regular dude trying to do his thing. And I'm so used to him being the bad guy that it was just kind of refreshing that he's something else.
Well, it's kind of the same thing with like Critters 4. I mean, he plays a really nice, likable guy in that movie, and like when he dies, I was like, oh man, that sucks. And then I realize I'm like, I feel bad for his character dying in Critters freaking 4, but it's Brad Dourif. You know what I mean? So
didn't Joss Whedon have some, like, when Joss Whedon wrote Alien 4? What is it about Brad Dourif in the 4th film in franchises?
Good question.
Alien Resurrection. But I remember him giving an interview once about like all the ways that movie went wrong. And I believe Brad Dourif's character was like, he betrayed the guys at some point in the movie. And Joss Whedon gave an interview once where he kind of just said, like, you know, Brad Dourif is an awesome, amazing actor. I love him. He's great. But like sometimes casting is storytelling. And so when you cast Brad Dourif in a movie, everybody's already going to be looking at him sideways. Like, okay, what bad thing is this guy going to do? And of course, he's the guy who betrays everybody. So like, he sort of felt like having Brad Dourif be that guy spoiled one of the twists in the story because it was Brad Dourif, which I just think that's sort of a funny twist on that on that concept.
Well, I mean, it was brilliant casting on whoever the casting, you know, if it was Tom Holland's decision or whoever that decided to, you know, cast Brad Dourif as Charles Lee Ray and then the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just a brilliant choice. I can't imagine anybody else doing that voice.
Hey, Piz, I got a question that I'd like to open up. It pertains to Child's Play. You know, Alex Vincent did the first 2 Child's Play movies, and you know, everybody talks about Danielle Harris, how great she was in the Halloween movie she did, and how it was such an incredible. Do you think that Alex Vincent kind of takes a backseat to Danielle unjustly? Or do you think, because his performances I thought were really good for a kid, or do you think that Danielle still kind of takes the edge a little bit on him?
He had to be like, I wonder how old he was when because watching Child's Play tonight, I was thinking to myself, like,
he's like 7 in that movie.
He's got to be super young.
Yeah.
But he does a really good job. And there's that point where he's in the psychiatric hospital and he sees Chucky's coming to get him, and he knows that Chucky is going to kill him, and he breaks down crying, and he's like, Chucky's going to kill me. Chucky's going to kill me. I mean, and that was a very convincing moment for him. You know what I mean? And I remember him being good in the second one too.
Not her fault, more so just, you know, writing from a chimpanzee for Halloween 5. But, you know, Danielle was still good in 5, but, you know, she was a mute for part of the movie. But yeah. I thought that Alex was really, really good. And I think I would say that it was a testament to Tom Holland's skills as a director, but I don't remember if he directed 2. I'm sure some of these fine gentlemen could tell us. He
didn't direct 2. John Lafia, who was one of the writers on the first movie, directed 2.
Sure.
And
yeah, so
Child's
clearly,
Play is the reason why Tom Holland didn't do Fright Night 2, because he was already in production on Child's Play.
Well, he made the right move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fright Night's a masterpiece too, but that's a different day. I'm sorry.
Well, let's see. Alex Vincent was born in 81. Child's Play came out in 88. So I mean, he was like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that the scene that you cite, Piz, when he asked that question, is exactly the one I was thinking of. Where, like, because that's actually a really powerful scene. I think I always felt more bad for Andy than I did for Jamie. Because, like, and this is more of a character thing than an acting thing. Danielle Harris is a really good actress, I think. And especially at that age, I think she was really very good.
She was.
That Alex Vincent quite got to do like the range of things she did, but he was very good. So to your point, I think he does take a bit of a backseat. Maybe it's unjust, maybe it's not. But you're right. I actually do like something Danielle Harris didn't really get to do. In Child's Play 2, Andy gets to kind of be a little bit of a badass. Like, he kind of decides he's going to, like, take the fight to Chucky to some extent and, like, starts fighting back, which I always thought was really cool. Because, again, think of my age range. It's like the kid is going to fight back against, like, the monster. I mean, that for me, I identified with that. I thought that was just really cool that he got the chance to do that.
Well, that scene where he gets the kitchen knife. You know what I mean? And he's finally like, I got to take matters in my own hands. Like, and it's a little kid, but you saw him in the first one, so you saw the vulnerable. I think that was important to have the same actor in the second one and to carry that because he was so vulnerable and everything in the second one. And then you get to this next one, he's just a little bit older. He's still this young kid, but he's all he's got because no one believes him. You know what I mean? And the character arc there is really interesting. And the kid, he carries it. He does a great job of it.
He does,
really
yeah.
great.
And like the first time he was so cute in the first movie too, and he still had that like, that voice where he couldn't quite enunciate things perfectly, and so he still had that going on. I don't know if that was played up or if that was just how he talked at the time, but I mean he was cute as a button. So when you see him on that train going deeper and deeper into the ghetto of Chicago, you're going, oh man, he's
Poor kid. Yeah,
that's not going to turn out well for him. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Monty, but I did want to add one thing. Alex Vincent could have had, more of a career that, kind of like Danielle Harris. I saw an interview with him where he had gone on an audition and he said that he had, he did his read and he looked up and like, it was either the casting director or the director or both of them were just laughing at him. And he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? This is awful. So he actually left acting for many years because of that. So
that's too bad.
Oh, Piz, do you remember that thing Alex Vincent said? I just thought about this. I forgot where he talked about this, but when he was auditioning, they wanted him to say a bad word, but he pretended like he kept forgetting his line. And then finally they were like, why can't you remember the line? And he told the director or whoever was there, he's like, I don't want to say this word, I'm sorry, so I'm pretending to not forget my lines. And they were like, wow, this kid just tricked us. I forgot where he mentioned that, but he talked about that. It was on a special edition Blu-ray or something, but I remember he told that story, which I thought was interesting.
That is cool. That's cool. What were you going to say, Monty?
No, I was going to say, and you notice another thing too is that the stuff, I mean, I'm saying rewatching the movies as an adult versus being a child when we all saw the movies, the stuff that actually the amount of abuse that Alex has to endure from adults in the film, and I actually think the adults is particularly in the first two films are pretty abusive because all the adults in that movie have no patience with the child at all. The chick who's supposed to be her best friend. Rewatching it now, I'm kind of like she's a little bit nasty.
Yeah, I agree.
When she's babysitting him.
I thought the exact same thing.
Did you think she was kind of nasty?
Yeah.
When he knocked her out the window, I was like, "Well, shit, knock her ass out there."
What did the Alex Vincent says? Well, Chucky said that she was a real bitch and she got what she deserved. I was kind of thinking like, I'm down with Chucky on this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are difficult scenes to play for a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're getting it from an adult and like he's getting jerked around. I'm like they're jerking the damn kid and throwing him into bed and throwing his toys everywhere. Like, I mean, he's a child, so you have to, if you're playing with their toys, you got to treat their toys as if, you know what I mean? Because
right.
Childs have emotional attachment. So I just thought the adults in those movies are pretty nasty in the first two.
Well, and there's also that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, there's also that sequence where like they take him away from his mother and put him in this like psychiatric hospital, which I mean, that was also, I mean, if you were a little kid at that time, I mean, what's your biggest nightmare? Being taken away from your parents, you know what I mean? So
stranger danger.
Yeah.
Don't talk to strangers.
Go ahead.
Remember that, guys.
All I was going to say is because we always sort of joke about how some of the later Friday the 13th movies, there's the reference. You're sort of just like waiting for the cast to die. Like you kind of want Jason to get them. That was really how I felt. Even though that existed in the first Child's Play movie, I guess I didn't really hate any of those adults very much, like I did the adults in Part 2. Like
the father Part 2 was
Chucky to kill, for Chucky to kill Bill. Like I was like, the whole movie's been leading up to that for me.
Yeah.
And even like his wife, like his stepmom, who kind of turns on him. Like she was really sweet with him, and then she's just like really awful to this little boy who's like lost his mom, and all these people he knew died. And I don't know. In that movie, it was like Chucky couldn't kill a child fast enough.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the first Child's Play, you know, it's not set up. It really, you can't even call it a slasher movie. It's not set up like a slasher movie. There's not a huge body count. You know, the characters are all adult characters except for Alex Vincent. So I mean, really, it's kind of it's more of a psychological movie. But you know, it's definitely not. And I think the thing, you know, the sequels more and more just became killer doll movies. You know what I mean? The original Child's Play was, again, something. There was just more there. You know, there's more substance there.
Sure.
Do you all think that in the original movie, this is how I felt watching it because I binged last night, but did you all feel them actually shooting in Chicago really helped to make it feel just more grittier, darker?
Yep. That's one of those movies.
When they're standing out by those subway trains, and when Andy goes in that rough neighborhood, you could tell that's a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's real.
That one, isn't there like a shot where it's like just the camera like pulls back and it's just like little Andy like holding the Chucky doll, like walking on this really awful looking street.
Yes!
Yeah.
And you can tell, like,
think about
way up there. You can tell he's a God knows where.
And it's sort of like, is the crew close enough to help him?
Well,
I'm sure.
It's such a striking visual too, because he's wearing like, you know, this, you know, the little kid outfit. He's got the coat on with the football on the back of it, and he's carrying Chucky, and Chucky's just about as big as he is. So and he's just la-da-dee, la-da-da, and you know, you're in a place where a kid like that should never be. And then 2 seconds later, a freaking house explodes right in front. Like that explosion, when I was like, that he had to be, that explosion would have hit him a mile away. He had to be far away from that explosion. You know, he couldn't have just been in the backyard because that whole house comes down. You know what I mean?
Andy would have gone deaf and blind in real life.
Yeah. Oh man. Anybody else? Anything you guys want to add when it comes to Child's Play? The first time you saw it, impressions, anything that affect Raho?
You know what? This was one of those ones that was barely on my radar when I was a kid. I had no idea it existed until later, when I started renting like heavily, probably, you know, preteens, teen years, and then I watched the first one and really liked it. And then I didn't come back to them probably till I was like in my 20s, like later 20s, and then I watched the first three and really enjoyed them. And then I went and saw Bride of Chucky.
You had a blast.
I hated that movie. So it's a weird series with me. I actually rewatching them in the last couple of days. I rewatched the first three. I have the same reaction every time I rewatch them. I'm like, why don't I watch these all the time? They're really good. Like, I really enjoy these movies, but I don't, for some reason, they're just not, whatever it is about them, I just don't think about them as my go-tos. Because the first three, I really enjoyed all three of them.
Yeah.
What about you, Stingray?
Yeah, I don't think I really got on board until 2 and 3 came out. I don't think I saw the first one until, I may have even seen those first. It's probably early 90s maybe when I got around to watching those. But they shot 2 and 3 back to back, right? Like at the same time.
Yeah. I think 9 months they turned around 3.
Yeah, it was less than a year. Yeah.
And it wasn't successful, I guess, is why.
No, it was not.
So,
Why?
I think this will resonate with you because we used to talk about the USA Friday the 13th marathons. The Child's Play is the one series where I did not see the first one first. It's just the way I'm a linear thinker. I always like to go in order of things. So it bothered me always, but I saw Child's Play 2 on like USA Network, so kind of like the edited version, and then I saw Child's Play 3 there, and I think I went back and rented the original Child's Play. So I remember sort of thinking, it was really cool because, you know, at the beginning of Child's Play 2, like it didn't really make sense to me, like what's happening. Like you're just sort of watching it, and it's just this sequence where they're like cleaning a doll. And then to watch the original movie, and it's kind of like, I see, like this burned up, like that he's burned up because of the events of the first movie.
Right.
they talk about the cop and the mom being committed and these other things. And like, so just seeing it was just interesting coming to it kind of backwards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And go ahead, Stingray.
I was going to say that's one thing that I really like about the series as a whole is it maintains that continuity, throughout the whole thing. Like, like in Curse, he's all like scarred up, even though he had like makeup on, like, so it, tracks back to the other films. Well, you stretch your imagination a little bit, but
I would argue the first three have a pretty tight continuity, and once you start getting into the Bride and post-Terror, it becomes more muddled. I mean, you're right. I mean, reflecting the scars, but we were talking, I think, offline before it started about like, it was a Raiho, I think, who said there's only 3 Child's Play movies or something. I wouldn't go that far, but I do appreciate that the first 3 have a very tight continuity. And while I can like some of the later entries, that kind of stuff just annoys me. I mean, frankly, that's why I like the Friday the 13th series. It's like you can watch the first 8 movies and like track the scars on Jason's head, and they all pretty much line up from movie to movie. Child's Play, that kind of stops after part 3 to some extent. And again, it's a different thing, but that kind of stops after they stop being called Child's Play.
Yeah. Well, a couple of interesting things happened after the movie was released. Of course, the movie was a big hit, but MGM UA disowned the movie because of the content, because they felt it was, placing a child in danger and blah, blah, blah. So they took the moral high horse and said they didn't want to do any more Child's Play movies. Universal came in and bought it. And of course, they've had it ever since, and they have made a small fortune off those movies. And I think UA in particular went out of business eventually. They went bankrupt eventually. But then there's all sorts of urban legends, really, for all of the movies that involve kids watching the movies and doing horrible things. Some of them that are true, some of them that are just BS that the media ran with. Mm-hmm. But it started with, of course, the first Child's Play, which I don't know if the story behind it is true or not. But some of them are true. The kids watch these movies and then did awful stuff. But there are instances where the media ran with these stories only to find out later that they were complete BS and just didn't, didn't do their retraction.
Well, this is in the height of the, satanic panic. Right. So they were, using that as another, why did this kid do it? Obviously, let's look at what he's doing in his life. He's listening to, metal music, and he's watching Child's Play.
Yeah. Had to be a doll movie.
I posted in the chat earlier, about the James Bulger murder. Yeah. And that was over in the UK, and these 2 kids, like, it was like premeditated and everything. They were like 9 and 10 years old, and kill this kid and do horrible things to him sexually. And
that was direct. So that actually does have a link with 3.
3, right? They said they watched 3, but I think it came out that they never seen it.
They said they watched it, and I think what they said was they wore. I can't remember this exactly. This is so long. This is going so far back, but I think they put blue paint on their face or something, and it was in 3. I think he gets blue paint on his face at some point, like near the end. Maybe it's like paintball paint.
Yeah,
it was something like they said. Yeah, we watched Chucky and we painted our faces blue like he did, and we went out and did this. But it ended up being it was a very tenuous, they may not have even seen the film. It was just but it was enough to the media fervor, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was a big part of the video nasties over there in the UK.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pretty much. Any closing thoughts on the original Child's Play? Go ahead, Christian.
I had a funny thought. I've always thought this. I always had this feeling of, I bet you he feels so bad. Charles Band, the guy who was making awesome movies in the 80s with Empire and decided to leave all of it, leave Reanimator and leave all this great stuff because he was obsessed with making movies about dolls and he wanted to do all this. So how funny is it that the guy who is known for making all these doll movies is not the guy responsible for the most famous doll movie in history. I always thought, like, I bet Charles Band kind of kicks himself in the ass. Like, this is bullshit, man. I'm the doll guy, and I don't even have Chucky. Like, the one most popular one is not Charles Band. I always felt bad for him.
It's interesting. That's true. He was the king of the doll movies, but not of the doll movie.
I mean, Puppet Master is excellent, but come on. I mean, it's Child's Play is the biggest doll movie ever, arguably, I would assume. So
yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, let's dive into the sequel, Child's Play 2. It's a couple of years later. Andy Barclay is back in the mix. His mother's been committed. The police have buried the whole, killer doll thing. I wonder. They should have shown like a shot of Chris Sarandon in a padded cell going, it happened. I swear it happened. But of course, they probably couldn't afford Chris Sarandon again. Yeah. So poor Andy Barclay is an orphan, and he finds his way to it's just the foster parents who the dad is Bud from Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Which every time I see that guy, I don't care what the role is, I think Chud 2, Bud the Chud.
Actor Garrett Graham,
exactly.
He will forever be known as Bud the Chud.
He will forever be known as Bud the Chud.
As he should be.
Fair
so Bud the Chud, you keep that for life. That's like herpes.
Exactly. And his wife, she's been in a lot of stuff too. I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Jenny Agutter,
yes. And of course we had now I can't think of her name either, who was in 90210.
Christine Elise.
Yes.
Laura Palmer's mother, Grace Zabriskie, was also in the movie. I think she was a social worker. She was like over the orphanage or something like that. Yeah. Director of the orphanage. Yeah.
She's the one that, well, not to get into it too much, but like a lot of the other people that die in the movie, you kind of feel like it's comeuppance. She's one of the ones you're like, aw. She's actually really nice to the kid and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into Child's Play 2. Do you guys think it is it a decent sequel? Is it, what do you guys think of Child's Play 2? Let's start with what do you think, Stingray?
I love part 2. I absolutely love it. I remember the first time I watched it, my parents were out of town and my older brother was babysitting me, and we had like a great big pizza, and it was just, I loved it. It was a great experience. I think it holds up. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I think it's a great sequel.
I just rewatched it again, like just the night before last, and like I actually had kind of a moment of back and forth. Did I like it better than the first one? I just thought it was. I don't know. I guess like I said before, I don't give these movies enough credit sometimes because I don't know what it is, but
you hang around.
It was I guess that's probably what it is. I was actually kind of taken aback by how good of a movie it was, how well they played it. Again, the whole synthesis and like the lifespan of Andy Barclay, like having that little kid and then getting into this, like at the end of it, like I said, when he grabs the kitchen knife and goes down to get Chucky, I was just like, this is awesome. I really enjoyed it. I'm still kind of at war with my own mind if I like it better than the first one.
I've always kind of been with Child's Play 2 and 3. I've always kind of been, like my memories of those movies aren't great. And I actually, to be honest, for a long time I thought 3 was better than 2, but going back and rewatching 2,
oh my god,
it definitely is. Well, I liked the let's throw another X-Files reference out there.
I know what you're talking about then.
Perry Reeves.
Yeah.
So that helped. That helped my like for part 3. But yeah, part 2 is definitely it's far better than my memories of it were. And the last act of that movie in the maze of good guy dolls, and then like on the factory and stuff, it's a really good like closing, like final act of that movie. But Andy Barker, Alex Vincent is good. All the performances are good. You definitely feel for poor Andy because he's been taken away from his parents. You know, Bud the Chud is just kind of a jerk in the movie.
Well, the thing that's frustrating about him is it's almost like there's a I don't know. It's almost like there's a bit of like he thinks he's not only does he think he's justified, like it's almost like the wife thinks he's sort of justified, but she's kind of pushing back. Like I'm like the kid didn't do fucking anything. He didn't like a stupid doll, and like you don't know anything about this kid, but he's just like this kid is trouble. He's a problem child. He's like and all this stuff, and I'm like he's really sweet. This kid is really nice.
Yeah.
He's like, I just can't. We can't have this kid in our house. He's gonna ruin our family. And I'm like, this poor Alex Vincent sitting on the bed in the other room, like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know. Anyway.
I love his death in the movie, and I love the delivery of the line of "How's it hanging, Chuck?" just before Chucky kills him. Oh, that's just such great delivery.
Oh, it's so good because they give you just a moment of that pause where he's got him on the hook.
The animatronic Chucky doll, like this really great kind of snarl as he says it. Like he's got this interesting like little curl in his lip. Like, how's it hanging, Phil? Like, I don't know. That's just such a great scene for a number of reasons. But
well, we kind of neglected to mention Kevin Yeager or Yeager, however he pronounces it, who did all the puppet stuff for the Chucky doll in the first movie and in the second one and in the third one. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he did. I know he didn't do Seed. I don't know if he did Bride or not, but you know, there was, you know, you mentioned the scene where Chucky comes out of the closet with the yardstick on the teacher. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's great looking stuff. I mean, that was, you know, it was Kevin Yeager doing that, and you know, it's a brilliant design, and he did an excellent job bringing Chucky to life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I cut off somebody. Who did I cut off? Was it you, Eric? What were you going to say?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, I would say that I don't have the problem like you do of deciding whether I like 2 more than 3. I like 2.
Well, I definitely like 2 better than 3. Just in my memories were that I enjoyed 3 more, but that had a lot to do with Perry Reeves.
Yeah. 2 again, it's just 2 is, and it's some of it is I realize wrapped up in nostalgia, like I had mentioned before. I've seen 2. I've probably seen Child's Play 2 more than any other one in this series, just because it did replay all the times on USA. So even for me, like it was actually kind of fun when I finally did rent it. Because like I was getting the edited version, and there's actually I think there's some alternate dialogue, alternate scenes. Because you know they do that sometimes. They'll shoot like a slightly different, like friendly for TV version. So like there's some stuff that I saw that I remember getting to like watch for real. Like oh wow, okay, so you know, he says fuck there, or, you know, so, there's like a curse word I didn't know was there. But to be honest, like Andy Barclay and little Jamie from Halloween like live the saddest little existence, don't they? I mean, like you follow like the course of this poor kid's story. He's like, it's like now he's like being shuffled off, and like Ryo says, he's like in this house. This guy hates him for no reason. It's like, why did they even let this guy foster this kid? He clearly doesn't want foster kids or stepkids or whatever the heck he was.
Yeah.
And to your point, like we were talking about, like Alex Vincent, like in his acting just makes it worse because he plays Andy's kind of just such a sad sack and really sweet and nice until he kind of turns into a little badass there for a while. But even the end, I kind of felt, I just sort of feel sad. It's like he's sort of just like walking out into the world with like this girl who's probably going to drop him at the first sign, which, you know, I guess that's what happened. I don't know. I like 2 a lot. I'm not picking on 2. I'm just the character arc for poor little Andy in the Child's Play movies is. If you really think about it, you could go like have a good cry on a Sunday afternoon.
The pacing for that movie too is just like there's very little let up in that movie too. I noticed
it's the shortest one. IMDb told me that, but yeah, it's only 84 minutes.
But it feels like it's moving like that. So I mean, but you know, it still sets up the characters pretty nicely, I think. So
I don't think any of that's sacrificed. Again, I think you get it's an efficient movie is what it is. I mean, like I think everybody gets their due. You kind of get everybody.
Well, I mean, you think about it, it's a very small cast. He's basically in that house most of the times. The only time you see him venture out, he goes to school, and the teacher yells at him, and the teacher gets off. Like it's snappy. Like it's, you know what I mean? But so as a result, you watch it, you don't feel like you didn't see, the outside world, or you feel like you saw a lot of characters, but really you didn't. You met like 6 people.
Yeah.
Through the course of the film.
And the again, I forget the actress's name from 90210. I keep thinking of her as the girl from 90210.
Who was she on 90210? She was she had a name like Hollywood or something like that. What was it?
Yeah, she was Dylan's squeeze for a while. Or no, she was Jason Priestley's squeeze for a while.
Yeah, she tried to set herself on fire.
Oh, that's right. No. But she did. She was great in the movie too. Great performance from her in the film.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree.
One thing I'll say about 2 is I remember seeing 2 to a packed house when it opened on Friday in 1990. And re-looking at it now, I think when you compare 1 and 2, 1 I think is a great thriller. Like a thriller with horror elements. Child's Play 2, I think, is the Chucky movie that they basically took. They took the parts that everybody responded to from 1, which is let's dispense with the serious grown-up stuff, the psychological, you lost your daddy, and we're going to go straight into Playland. Because when you look at the movie, it looks like you're in a toy. The production design is very colorful. Everything, it looks like you're in a toy. I don't know, the whole movie looks like that. The colors are very bright.
Yeah.
Chucky's performance, Brad Dourif's, I mean, he's pretty much one-liners, psychological terror. And his psychological terror in this one is much, much greater, along with the body count. And then you mix into the fact Christopher Young's score, which is fantastic. His score is, I think it's the best score out of all the movies, because that score number 3 was atrocious.
That's why I hate 3, I think. Actually,
I hate that.
Like after 2, the music is so good and it seems to really fit it. The third one just feels like some guy hopped on a synthesizer or something and it just churned it out.
That's I just love the set designs of 2, like the opening sequence of the dolls being made, and then the end sequence in the doll factory again. It's so cool, being able to see that stuff. That's
Monty nailed it. Like when you look at the place that they make the toys, like everything in it looks like a toy.
Yeah,
painted green and red and bright colors, and it looks like it can't even be real. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But let's get down to it. Okay, so the whole deal is it's the skull, right? They found the skull from the first movie. Hey, I got a great idea. Let's take this skull and put this into another doll because nothing will happen. It's not going to backfire at any point.
Yeah,
I did wonder about that. That seemed like an odd thing because and this is actually one thing I did like about the third one, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but there's sort of a continuity about the company trying to cover this up that the third one maintains, which I always thought was interesting that they maintain that continuity. But why would the company even do that? Melt the friggin' thing down and just keep making down. Why?
They make some stupid reference to they wanted to rebuild it to prove that it wasn't they wanted to rebuild it. It wasn't just the skull. I think it was the electronics. The guy says something like, "We rebuilt it to prove that there's nothing wrong with it. Here it is," or whatever. And the second it gets lit up, they put the eyes in. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you."
Exactly.
I guess in the reality of this fiction, and again, we need to have a movie, so whatever. But I don't know. Corporate America, it seems to me what corporate companies do, what bad PR or not, they do the cheapest thing. The cheapest thing would be to melt the thing down and just make new dolls. What do I care? It's kid's crazy, mom's crazy, the cops don't agree with this. I guess we're just going to keep making money. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could end the film series right here for you, but
well, one of the things that Don Mancini was fascinated with that he wanted to put more in the first movie that I think definitely went into 2 and 3 was how these companies are kind of, they're creating the whole next generation of consumers. You know what I mean? Kids are just mini consumers. So,
that
marketing
was big in the 80s.
Right.
I mean, cartoons were commercials for toys.
Right.
And it wasn't that long after, 88 probably, that they started cracking down on that shit. Like a big way. So it's great commentary. Great commentary for the actual scene.
Yeah. But Christian, what's your thoughts on Child's Play 2?
Monty put it, I think, really good. If I'm in the mood to like watch like just a really good 80s horror movie period, I'll watch the first one. And interestingly enough, I forgot to add this. Child's Play 1 was actually the first horror movie I ever watched, followed by The Fly. So you can imagine I didn't sleep a whole lot. Thank you. My dad's a big Fly fan. But he's right. 2 actually scared. I saw 2 fairly short after. And that actually really scared me more as a child because of the set design. And I never thought about that till he actually just said that, it's crazy when
Christian,
I think about it.
I have to ask you this because it was the same thing for me. Child's Play was the first horror movie I saw. Like that, I actually saw because everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Chucky this, Chucky that" on the playground. I'm in like kindergarten. No, I'm in like first grade. And then I was like, "Oh, it's Child's Play. It's this doll guy." What was your reaction when she finds out there's no batteries in the back of him? I fucking almost, and then he runs under the couch. I was like, "Fuck this!" And I'm like, "I'm out." I was scared shitless. I was 8 years old. I was like, "Fuck this shit."
My memory doesn't really run that deep. I just remember it was like the whole movie was like watching a car crash for me when I was that little, just petrified because I didn't watch House, or I didn't watch Return of the Living Dead 2 is my first horror movie. I watched, watching that was literally like just getting like a punch right to the face as a kid. So I don't remember vivid memories of the scenes from the movie like that. I just remember being just legitimately traumatized. I'd have to say that the first one, as I've gotten older, I appreciate the filmmaking aspect more now than I was, in my teens. So I do like the first one a little bit better. I always saw 2 as like a really glossy, high-end, video rental store horror movie. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, because I do love 2. 2 is great. I don't have anything negative to say about 2. If there is really a hell, it's that doll factory at the end of the movie. I can say that. Great stuff. It's a great special effect movie. It's a great. I always have a streamline of a low level like anxiety watching that movie because of just how the whole movie from the start to the end, if it's not Chucky that you're kind of just like nervous to see and ready to deal with in the movie, it's just the awkwardness and the uneasiness of Andy living with those step parents. It always I always feel very uneasy watching the movie, and I see y'all shaking y'all's head, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. Which is a compliment to the filmmaker, because I assume that that's what he wanted you to feel and to really get behind Andy's character more in the movie. But and I always liked Kyle. I thought she was a badass in the movie, and she felt like the protector type. You always kind of was like you were rooting for Kyle when you see her on screen. So so while I do enjoy 1 more now, just as a horror movie, 2 is obviously another high point in the franchise, and I don't think anybody's going to really have a bad thing to say about it.
Kyle's kind of like I almost feel like she's a more appropriate foil for Chucky, like even more than like, because Andy's mom is just like a mom. She's very proper, and isn't she like played by the mom from Seventh Heaven, if I'm remembering?
Yeah,
she is. Yeah.
Whereas like Kyle is kind of like a wise ass, like she sort of quips back at Chucky. Like there's even like parts of that movie where like I like how I think it's like when he's got like the gun and they're like together, she's like arguing with him. I don't know. There was just something to me that was more satisfying about her character battling with Chucky than Mrs.
I wanted to add one more thing. If you go back and listen to the music, it's interesting now how even the music, that dun 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 dun, that even matches the set design of the film. So it's like like a evil baby's little carousel thing above his bed. It's interesting how that's all tied together so well. Incredible. The school was colorful. Really, the details, when we talk about it, it opens up your mind to how much work really goes into set design and goes into, the look of the film and the sound of the film. It's a group effort. And man, I get mind blown when we stop and, you guys bring these things up. So yeah, 2 is great. 2 is an evil movie. It's a classic, but
yeah,
it's great. Yeah, it's definitely a high point. And to quote Newfound Glory, it's all downhill from here. So
I like 2 so much. I would almost say it's one of the best horror sequels.
Sure, absolutely,
ever.
Yeah. Sure. I wish Tom Holland would have directed 2, but he's got his part 1 and he did a fantastic job. I'm just a Tom Holland mark, I guess. I've really been digging him. I've been watching a lot of his films, but the guy, excuse me, my ignorance, I forgot the guy who directed 2. One of y'all mentioned his name, but you know what? It's got its place in history, and we're still talking about 2. So I mean, I'd love to see Scream Factory give me a proper part 2 special edition with a good documentary and things like that. So
yeah, 2 and 3, you would think that they would have special editions. If not, I mean, I guess Bride even
because it seems like Scream Factory has got a good relationship with Universal. Don't we? Universal seems to give Scream Factory a lot of films, huh?
Well, Child's Play, the first Child's Play was an MGM movie.
Right. I know that, but it seems like Halloween, the sequels for Halloween and stuff, they seem to have a lot of Universal titles.
That's true, but see, they're putting out this one.
I don't want that, Piz. I want Scream Factory.
4 or 5 of those things now, don't they? There's like so many Chucky packs.
Yeah,
like they just keep renaming it and putting it back out.
And they must be selling because they keep putting them out. And I mean that's probably the reason why. I mean, I'm sure Scream Factory inquired about the Child's Play 2 and 3, but that's probably why they can't get their hands on it.
Hey, Piz, real quick, interesting thing to think about. Do you think that MGM had even thought about doing a Child's Play remake when Scream Factory got the rights to do the release? Because if they did, you would figure MGM would say, no, Scream Factory, y'all get out of here, because I know this franchise is going to be still worth a lot of money. It's interesting to think about when you look at that, because you don't know how much money MGM themselves make from them Scream Factory releases. I don't pretend to understand it, but I would like to think that this remake idea really hadn't even become a concrete thing yet from MGM, because if it was, and they realized, okay, this horror franchise has still got a lot of money, and look what Halloween did. If we can get half of that, we can make a ton of money. So that's interesting to think about.
Is it like one initial price, or do they get like a percentage of sales?
That's what I don't know. I'm sure MGM either gets money up front for X amount of sales, guaranteed, or I don't know. What do I know?
I mean, if they're licensing the title, that would mean a percentage, right?
Well, Scream Factory is owned by MGM, so Scream Factory has.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, they can just plunder the MGM vault. You know what I mean? So,
interesting. I didn't know that. Well, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah,
they have plundered that vault.
They've plundered. Yeah, there's not much left in there, I don't think. But yeah, I think definitely watching Child's Play 2 this time around for the first time in many, many years, I saw just, it's definitely a very solid sequel just overall, as the sequels go. But it's a much better movie than I remember it being, put it that way. Well, let's move on to Child's Play 3. Which Child's Play 3 is Brad Dourif's least favorite Child's Play.
You don't say.
It's also Don Mancini's least favorite Child's Play. It was released 9 months after Child's Play 2. Ooh. And it did not do well. That's why it was many, many years before we saw Chucky on the silver screen again. But
So it's kind of like the Halloween 5 then of this series, because remember Halloween 5 followed like exactly a year after Halloween 4.
very much like Halloween 5. Very much like Halloween 5. Yes. But yeah, our Andy is several years older now. He's now played by Justin Whalen, and he is at the Kent Military Academy. And a lot of stuff happens. And some stuff happens there.
Yeah.
But
I'm getting the general vibe that you guys don't like it. I don't know where I'm getting that from, but I actually, like I said, I just watched this movie last night, and I don't mind the movie. My biggest complaint is that I found the Chucky doll didn't look very good, which doesn't make sense. It's probably they made it right after, so I'm assuming everything about it is the same as what they had, part 2. But I felt like the face was a little more wooden. It didn't play out as well. That was one of my biggest complaints about it. I thought it was interesting that they took it to a kind of a weird place, like taking it into a military academy. I was like, it's kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, you got to commend him for not just doing the same thing again. Like, fuck, here's Andy, and he's got to run away from Chucky again.
Right. Yeah, and the movie's got some dark kind of shit in it. Near the end there, like they're putting live ammo and some guns, and the kids are shooting at each other and shit. Like
that was
you know what I mean? Like they didn't pull any punches with that shit.
I do love the dude diving on the grenade. I do love
the
dude diving on the grenade.
And like saving everybody, yeah.
I love the names too. De Silva, fucking hilarious, dude. The best part, fucking, Tyler unwraps the thing. I think it's him, and then he's like standing there like this, and he pops out. He's and he goes, "Tampering with the mail is a federal offense." he's standing there with his hands. I think 3 is fucking hilarious. Child's Play 3 to me is my Halloween 3, Friday 5. Really, no one likes Halloween 5. I kind of like it, but that's what Child's Play 3 is for me. I agree with Rahil. I don't think he's on the same level as me, but yeah, that's kind of my.
We've got a lot of hate for Tyler in the chat, and I totally agree. I couldn't even get it out of my mouth before they started talking about it. That's one of my biggest complaints about the film is how annoying that kid is.
I don't mind Tyler. I don't.
Is he like the Reggie of this movie?
The fact that he's there is stupid to me. Like your dad is like a pilot or something. Why are you at this school?
They were trying to they made Andy older, so they were trying to have an Andy in the movie.
I know.
But they just, you're right. They didn't they shoehorned that into the story. And then the other thing about it is there could have been other little kids. Like they never show another little kid during the entire thing until there's a scene where they go to get Tyler in the tent. Near the end, Andy's trying to save him, and there's another little kid in the tent with him, and I'm like, this kid wasn't in the movie at all. It was like it's like there's one 8-year-old kid, and everyone else is like in their teens. So it's kind of like weird. It just feels like they just stuffed him in there to have that Andy character, and they just didn't do it right.
Well, there's and a lot of it I think is because it was it was so rushed to get it done. It's not fully realized. It has that kind of rush. Only halfway. It's not quite there. You know what I mean? And I don't know how I feel about the Justin Whalen as the new Alex Vincent or whatever. There are things I like about the movie. Like I said, I like Perry Reeves. I like the scene where Chucky trades he puts the live ammo in the red team's gun, and he's like, what's cool about that scene too is while the red team's being shot at, Chucky's just laughing maniacally while all this chaos is happening.
Yeah. And then he throws a live grenade at kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a ton of kids and they're all like trying to figure out what's going on. He's like,
yeah, exactly.
He thinks this is the best. Like I was sitting there watching. I was like, this is getting dark. And I'm sorry, that carnival at the end, that final set piece when they're in that House of Horrors, like I would have killed to go to a place like that when I was a kid. That place is incredible. There's no way that there's any carnival in the world that is like a traveling carnival that has that much dedication to set design and all that shit. That whole scene at the end is just, it screams Halloween. And like I was thinking as I was watching, I was like, I'm gonna be watching this movie again on Halloween for sure. Like that whole scene at the end. I just thought that I just thought that ending was great. I don't know why. But.
I think just my biggest problem with Child's Play 3 is again it only feels like it's halfway there because it was so rushed. Some of the casting is meh. Like the main villain guy in the movie, I just like I know you're not supposed to like him, but I tend to like those kind of characters in movies because I know what they serve if you don't like them, they're doing their job. But this was a level of don't like where it's just like this guy's he's just kind of lame.
It was awful. Yeah.
I didn't like his performance I didn't like him as a performer. Like the main guy the guy who got shot in the heart.
Yeah.
The bully guy. I just didn't like his performance as an actor. Just like when I saw his face, I was just every time he was in somebody's face, I was like, just do it, guys. Come on, do it. You can get kicked out. Stop.
Doing his like Arlie Emery impression.
Yeah.
Oh,
one interesting thing that I discovered while watching this movie, and Monty, tell me if you think this is offensive. There's a sequence in the movie where Tyler is, of course, an African-American boy. Chucky is going to transfer his soul into this little boy, and he tells Andy, he goes, "I'm going to be a bro." Do you find that offensive?
Interestingly, I don't, and here's the reason why. As a matter of fact, I remember when it came out, and I went to go see it like everybody else. It was a packed house, and at this particular mall we went to go see it at, it was mostly the majority of the audience was black in that theater, and everybody laughed at it. But I think, everybody thought it was hilarious because I think it's so absurd and it's so ridiculous, and I don't think that it's not from a mean-spirited place. It's just that this is a crazy, insane movie, and this is just. I just thought it was just. I wasn't offended by it. I just thought it's a ridiculous idea, ridiculous movie, and I think they were just throwing everything to the wind. Chucky is a sadistic nut.
Exactly.
So I think at this point they're throwing everything out there. Just whatever would catch. That was probably meant for us, the black viewers, to be like, oh, Chucky's going to be a bro. And then somebody who's like 10, we'd go to the elementary school and say, if I recall, I think we did say that in the cafeteria room when we were kids. But no, I didn't. I just thought it was just a stupid line.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because there are versions of the movie that were released on VHS, and the television cuts of the movie don't include that line.
Really?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, it's. I just think it's stupid. I mean, it's ridiculous that they took it out, but I just think it's a silly movie, a silly line. I mean, I just think people that's a situation where people are being overly sensitive. I think, and I think they're just trying to make something out of nothing.
Is Chucky the murderous killer doll who throws grenades at kids and is trying to steal the soul, like destroy the soul of a child so he can take his body? He needs to be PC in his language. Is this
exactly
what I'm understanding?
None of that other stuff resonated. Like, we got to take that out of the movie because it might offend some people that he throws a grenade at a bunch of kids. But because he says he's going to be a bro, we got to take that out. That's going to piss people off.
He said want to be a bro. I mean, that's so hysterical. It's really funny when you think about it.
Yeah. It sounds like whoever wrote the line, it's like, that's not even like, I don't know, colloquial language at the time.
Exactly.
Monty, but if he said like, hey, yo, what's up, player? I'm here to transfer my soul, motherfucker. Would you like?
No, player wasn't in by then. That was 92. That was a little bit early for player, but but a lot of us was like,
Chucky don't play this shit. Chucky don't play this shit, son.
Like that at that time.
Yeah.
Tyler, you gonna be my bitch tonight?
Nobody said bro, so it was clearly a line that was written by somebody that wasn't black.
Some old white dude, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at. It makes it even more ridiculous because it just sounds even stupider because of the terms.
We're gonna connect with the black audience. Let's throw in a bro.
I mean, doesn't he says bitch in like every movie too, doesn't he?
Pretty much.
This is a lot worse. I mean,
Goddamn women drivers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think this may be the first time that he uses a gun, isn't it?
Oh my god.
No,
Is this the first movie he uses a gun?
He used a gun in the first one, didn't he?
No. Oh no.
Well, I was just going to argue that, Christian, let's look at the hands on that doll you have there. I want to see like how. Like,
well, he has
like
that tiny little gun.
How small of a gun? I don't think there's a gun that exists that those hands could use.
If you remember in the second one, he's got a little toy water gun that looks like a little pistol or whatever.
But in 3, he's got this little, like, I don't even, it's almost like a one-shot thing. Kind of.
I tell you what, man, he could change rounds on them shotguns. Like, no, he could change shotgun rounds quicker than any of us.
He's going to kill Lincoln with that gun.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we've been, and I was leading the charge, been pretty hard on this movie, but I noted when we were talking about 2, I actually do like that it keeps a tight continuity with the other films. Like, it opens again with a really, actually we haven't even talked about, like, the opening sequence I think is pretty cool. Like, kind of the credits set against like the rubber melting and kind of seeing like the blood mixed with that. Like, that's kind of a neat, I don't know, I think that's just sort of a neat visual sequence to open the movie. And I just personally like that it's like we literally come back, like, again, like a good Friday the 13th movie. Jason's chained at the lake in the lake in the last one, and the next one we got to get him out of the lake to go doing stuff. We open up in the factory, which is all broken down, and they just start it up and like they just remake Chucky. Like, I like that. I like that. I like how the president of the toy company, like, his assistant died in the last one, and like in this one, like, he's still there, and like Chucky gets him this time. I don't know why I like that, but I like that we sort of get sort of an end to that.
Well, he was a jerk in the second one. Stick it up your ass. So
It's a pretty satisfying scene.
And I thought, even though, like, if this was the end of the movies, and I don't know that they ever intended them to be, but because this one didn't do as well, took them a while to come out with Bride, I thought it was kind of cool that in, like, the final confrontation, Andy kind of, like, if I remember correctly, he sort of, like, shoots Chucky in exactly the same sort of circumstances like his mom did. Kind of, like, bringing it a little bit full circle. If you remember, he's, like, I don't think they call attention to the fact that he's like aiming for Chucky's heart, but it's like he's shooting him, and he does hit him in the heart, and there's like a big blood spray, and that's what knocks him into the fan at the end. And I just remembered sort of thinking like it was kind of an interesting callback to, that's what his mom did. Now, like, faced with this threat, and he's doing it.
I have to say this real quick, man. When I was 9 years old, I think, maybe 10, and he kills the boss, and then he's looking on the computer, and he goes, "Where are you, you little shit?" And you see his reflection in the monitor. I was fucking dying laughing. I still laugh at that shit to this day. Like, "Where are you, you little shit?" And he's like fucking going through the database. It's hilarious.
And how easily he could just like, it's like,
yeah, there's no internet, but I keep files on Andy Barkley, so it's just like, well, I'll just type in Andy Barkley, and there he lives at this particular place. Yeah, where he's just literally going to, like, we open up to him getting there, but this guy knows where he's going to be at. But that's cute too. But I mean,
I like.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was trying to find things to like what are positive. Like, those are the things I do like. Those things I like. That I thought it was a good cap on the original trilogy. I thought the opening was creative. Chucky is a little bit funnier, I think, in this one too.
Well, this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it's like I'll leave the bro remark out for these purposes, but he's definitely a little quippier in this one. And by the way, because Andy's a little bit older, I kind of like that, like, Andy and Chucky are like giving shit to each other. Like, similar to how I liked how that's like Kyle and Chucky were kind of bitching at each other. I just kind of like that. Like, when the characters can sort of stand up to Chucky, there's something about that. And again, I think it's just because it's like Brad Dourif talking through this little doll, like yelling at people. That sort of works for me. But if I'm looking for the positive parts of Child's Play 3,
I will say in the positives though, Eric, that the way the new kid, he wasn't a kid, but Justin Whalen.
Yeah.
I will say that upon rewatching it, because I rewatched Child's Play 3 yesterday.
Yeah.
He really, I in terms of continuity, he did play that role. He did carry on what Alex Vincent did from the first two films, and there was almost scenes where he kind of looked like him a little bit.
Yeah.
When I watch him and the way he'd express himself, it was just, I don't know. I'm like you. I don't like when you switch actors on me. You know, it just really drives me up the wall.
See, if we're gonna get into negatives, like I don't like that. I liked Alex Vincent. Again, this guy did a fine job, serviceable. Yeah, okay, he's Andy, great. I just don't. It's not like Alex Vincent fell off the face. Like he's still alive. Like we could have made another Child's Play movie with him. Again, it's my same problem with like Halloween 6. Drives me up the wall that they didn't get Danielle Harris for that. And
well,
again,
they didn't want to pay her.
Yeah, I've heard the story. I get like they, and I think that's real shitty too. By the way, like I think that's terrible. In this case, it almost seems like, and I don't know if you, and again, because Piz, you're plugged into this stuff, better than I am. But I mean, is there a reason that they jumped ahead? Like, did they not want to pay Alex Vincent? Like, were his parents or his agents giving them trouble, or was it just they wanted to tell a story a few years removed, and that's just what they did? Like I don't know. Like why did they move away from him?
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, if you watch if you listen to the post-mortem podcast where Mick Garris actually went through all the movies with Don Mancini, they just kind of wanted to fast forward and get the kid out the movie. That was kind of like what the producers wanted, was to not have the movie about the kid anymore. And they didn't really go, he didn't really say why. He just said that was kind of the, that was their, Sean Cunningham, get the damn hockey mask out the movie kind of thing with, we just want to get the kid out the movie. So that was like a rush thing. When you write a script about this, we want an older Andy. But they didn't go into detail why, so I can't really tell you why. And Don didn't really say why, but I don't think he really knew why. It was just kind of an order to get Andy as a little kid out the movie.
We'll talk about this as we get into the other films. We'll get into this, but it's like I always the later films are already at a deficit with me because I hate that they just drop that storyline. And again, yeah, they sort of pick it back up again. But like that always just bothered me. It's like Chucky spends like his entire existence for these 3 movies trying to kill Andy, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of like they don't even mention him. I don't know.
Right.
It bugged me.
I'll just, if it's okay, I'll just add my quick thoughts on Child's Play 3. I think it's a certain flavor for when you need it. Like if I want to have, if me and Orc want to get together one day and open up a few brewskis and have popcorn and laugh, Child's Play 3 will deliver that to you. I think it would have been a really great blockbuster rental if it wouldn't have gone to theaters. My favorite character in the entire Child's Play franchise is the Barber. I don't think anybody's mentioned him.
About the Barber.
The Barber was fantastic. He is a great, just for lack of a better term, B-movie character. And I don't know. I think it's it's a certain flavor. Pizza when you're it's got a certain toppings when you're in the mood for that.
Sure.
So in the grand scheme of things, for a part 3 in a horror franchise, I think it's okay. It could have been, sure, it could always be better, but you know what? It could always be worse. So I wouldn't change history. It is what it is, and I like Child's Play 3 for what it is. It's a popcorn movie. So, and it's if you get together, arguably you're gonna laugh the most. If we all watch that movie together, that will make us laugh the most. And sometimes we want that. So,
Probably.
and maybe I'm being a little too nice about it, but it's got some cool stuff in it. It's got the like the theme park and the Barber who's funny. Presto, you dead. It's got some good stuff in it. So.
Andrew Robinson from Hellraiser.
Yes.
And, Cobra.
Garrick on Deep Space Nine.
Christian, man, if you want a party, we're gonna have to raid the soda section at Walmart.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go to the Dorito section. Any Pepsi products will be out of stock in Louisiana where you are, and then you're gonna be pushing for type 2 diabetes. So
that's fine. We'll do Child's Play 3.
We go hard in the paint. We don't fuck around.
We'll do Child's Play 3, Leprechaun, Rumpelstiltskin, The Dentist. We'll popcorn it all night. Piz is coming too. But
sounds like a fun time to me.
I want to see both your hands when we're watching Leprechaun 1 with photos fucking Jennifer Aniston. Okay, I want to make that clear. Okay.
Steak Sauce is asking for a Child's Play 1 through 3
Bro code.
marathon next week in the chat.
You know, the people hate on Child's Play 3, but like, let's pretend that they only made 3 movies. I would say, okay, yeah, Child's Play 3 is obviously like a stinker. They kept going, and they get bad
They didn't
as
get
we
any better.
move on.
Well, I mean, you know, you said it. Child's Play 3 felt like a
blockbuster movie, you know?
right.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, it would have been a decent if that had been it for the Child's Play series, you could say, well, that was a decent trilogy. They all 3 had, you know, a continuity. You know, 3 was a downgrade from 2, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's still got its moments.
The thing that the fact that they rushed it, I mean, it definitely, everything about it is worse because of that rush. But this should have been the movie that they should have stepped up Chucky. Like, this should have been the movie where, and I think I've heard that Don Mancini, or whatever his name is, Mancini, he wanted to have multiple Chuckies in this one. This was the movie they needed to do that. They needed to do like I don't know, like a Super Chucky. In my mind, and they couldn't do it because they had 9 months to turn this movie out. They just did the same thing again, right? So they tried to turn it on its head by putting it in a new setting. I think the reason they went with teenagers is just to get it away from being kids and get away from that controversy.
Yeah.
But I just think this should have been the one where they stepped up the Chuckies, and I think they because of the turnaround, they couldn't get away from that formula, and it ended up people were like, I already saw this movie.
They do come back to that concept though. I think in the last one.
I haven't seen any of them after 4. So I do want to see the last 2. Kirsten, I hated 4 so much. I fucking hated that movie.
I felt the same way.
Bride, Chucky. I went and saw that movie in the theater, and I know it's supposed to be a parody. I get it. It's parodying itself, and I get why it was popular, but I fucking hated every minute.
Look, I watched Seed for the first time, and Seed makes Bride look like a fucking masterpiece, man.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on to The Bride of Chucky. 1998, 10 years after the release of the first film, we're hit with Bride of Chucky. And they've taken the series. This is where the series goes full-blown comedy for, you know, it goes off the rails. It goes off the rails in the next one. This one, it's barely on the rails, but the next one goes entirely off. So anyway, Bride of Chucky. Now, I seem to recall this movie back in the day being like a really big deal for some reason. Yeah. Like there were trailers everywhere, promotion for it everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, I did not rewatch Bride of Chucky for this. I don't hate the movie, but it's definitely a movie that, you know, I've seen once or twice, and I don't feel like I ever need to watch it again, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's only 3 to me.
But I saw it, and watching it again, I don't hate it nearly as much as I did on that initial watch. I think because it was so jarring that it was so different than the previous 3 films, like in every way, pretty much. But I can appreciate it for what it is now.
It's funny because I think I feel like you could have gone maybe either way then. That jarring quality, Jay, like that one, that actually just resonated with me for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I think like even like the trailers and stuff, I almost feel like the marketing for the movie was still trying to like trick you into like this is like a scary child's play movie.
I felt tricked. That was the thing that took me out of it. Was I went in for one movie and got another, and the promotions for this were out of control. I think he showed up in a wrestling show, didn't he? Like, didn't he wrestle or something?
I don't remember that.
He was at WCW.
Yeah,
WCW.
like something like that. Like, I mean, they really pushed this movie.
You can find that clip on YouTube if you want to. It's ridiculous. I think one of the Steiner brothers.
Oh shit! Let me tell you something, Chucky brother.
Yeah.
But like I actually liked that. Like I feel like once I sort of figured out, like, wait a second, this is actually a comedy. I kind of rolled with it. I wouldn't call it high cinema, but you have to admit this movie has like a really high pedigree. I mean, look at the cast. It's got John Ritter, Katherine Heigl, and Kathy Najimy, or I could be butchering her name, but the mom on King of the Hill.
Yeah.
She, there's like a lot of people in this movie, and Jennifer Tilly, of course.
Mhm.
Yes.
And it felt kind of like a little bit more higher budget than the previous three. And maybe that was a trick, but I don't know. I don't know. I kind of dug it, and I liked how they gave like the fact that you got to see different sides of Chucky. I thought was interesting.
Like his
Interesting
penis,
way-
like that he has a functioning penis.
Well, like I never like really wanted to learn too much about like Jason. You know, it's like Jason just kills people. And even Michael Myers, it's sort of like the mystery around that. It's like I kind of just want him killing people. Whereas with like Chucky, I don't know. He talked so much, and he, you know, it seemed like he had kind of like an inner life. It was just kind of interesting to me, anyway. Getting that played out.
The one thing that movie definitely has going for it is it's very flashy. It's very much like a music video. The one thing I do remember about it is the music, because I mean they took all of the big bands from that era and just they blasted them throughout that entire movie. I can't hear Living Dead Girl and not think of Bride of Chuck.
That was such a huge thing then. Like every soundtrack was just loaded with alt rock, pop.
Yeah.
Like Godzilla had a huge soundtrack too. I think. Like you know what I mean? Like around that time. Yeah.
He's like music has really gone to shit since I left, and then he turns on the Rob Zombie.
But yeah, like it's very flashy, it's very glossy, it's very accessible from aesthetically. I mean, you know, especially for that time where, you know, MTV was still making music videos, and those music videos were exactly like what we were seeing. You know, the movies were being very much influenced by music videos at that time.
I'm sorry, man. Some of it is just fucking hilarious. What would Martha Stewart say? Fuck Martha Stewart. She takes the cookies. She's begging him in the back of the van when they're going to his grave. That shit is fucking hilarious. 4 is an Oscar award-winning film compared to 5. Let's be real here. Come on, real talk.
Some of the comedy doesn't really work for me in that movie. I can accept it and appreciate it for, you know, it's a satire of itself, and I can appreciate that. And there's some nice moments in it. You know, Jennifer Tilly, I think that was a great casting choice. Yeah.
Wonderful casting choice.
You know,
why now all of a sudden he has a functioning penis, and why would he have a why would he have a penis?
They explain that though, and I actually kind of first
They
of all, it goes back. They do, because it actually goes back to Child's Play 2, where when Chucky kind of explains that like the longer he's in that body, that's why he starts bleeding in Child's Play 2.
I guess
They kind of, and so they well, I think that's the point, is that at this point he's been stuck in that doll body for so long, like he has like a working doll anatomy, which I realize is silly, but here's kind of like Scream turned everything upside down in the 90s for horror movies, right? Like the horror movies that tried coming out after Scream and tried to play it straight really didn't do very well and weren't very well done. I almost think Child's Play deserves a little bit of credit that and I don't know whether they did it on purpose, but like they kind of twisted themselves to parody themselves. Like they realized they couldn't just make a straight up Child's Play movie again. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, what can we do? So it's like, let's do it this way. And like I say, maybe I'm giving Don Mancini and the good folks at Universal more credit than they deserve, but I just don't think you could have made a straight Child's Play movie again.
Sure.
In that climate. Like at that point in the 90s, I just don't think it would have sold. I don't know. Maybe.
No, you're not wrong. Everything was self-referential at that time. So, you know, if you're going to do a parody, if you're going to do a movie, you're going to do a parody, really. Yeah. So I guess I shouldn't have been so surprised as I was when I went and saw it. I don't know. It just didn't land with me. Now hearing you guys talk about it, I think you've kind of sold me on giving it another shot. I would watch it. And watching it as a comedy and getting that out of my head, I I'm sold on doing that now, so I will give it another try.
Yeah.
Well, I think a big part of the reason why I don't want to watch Bride of Chucky again, it also has to do with Freddy versus Jason, because Ronnie Yu destroyed what could have been the greatest horror movie ever.
How did you even get that movie? How did Ronnie Yu get
because of Bride of Chucky.
Oh, okay.
What did he do before Bride of Chucky? Do you know?
He directed some movies,
Music videos, perhaps.
No, he directed one movie, The Bride with White Hair or something like
that's
that.
right.
And that was like a big hit in the Asian markets. So
not at all like a Child's Play film, though.
No.
So, like what we were talking about earlier about, like, now, like if Freddy vs. Jason were made today, I actually think they'd probably get it right, or they'd put someone on it who isn't like Ronnie Yu didn't know shit about. And again, I'm not trying to turn this into a Freddy vs. Jason thing, but like he didn't know shit about like Jason or Freddy, and he didn't care. Like he just kind of kicked Kane Hodder to the curb. He invented this like, oh well, one's afraid of fire, one's afraid of water. Like I think you could get a movie now made by a fan, or at least by people who appreciate the source material enough to turn out like the movie that you're talking about, Piz, that you want.
Right.
And for whatever reason, it was just like, I don't know, he did Bride of Frankenstein. Sure. I'm sorry, Bride of Chucky. But yeah, of course he can direct the meeting of the two great horror icons of the 80s. Why not?
What year was Bride? What year was Bride? 97 or was that 98?
98.
It's 98. Okay. Yeah, because I remember seeing the trip. Well, by that time, I was pretty much over it because I was like 16, 17, so I was kind of over it by then. But I remember when I saw that it didn't say Child's Play 4, I was like, this is not the movie that I think I'd like to see. When I saw Bride of Chucky, I just knew when I saw Bride of Chucky, I was like, this is not what I want to see. So I didn't go see it. But I like the fact, I mean, I think one of the things that got me to even watch it was the fact that Jennifer Tilly was in it, because I was so hooked on her after The Getaway. And, you know, as a matter of fact, that's the only thing that got me through Bride of Chucky was the ghoulish humor and the gore, and probably Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly before she turns into the doll.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's like the best part of the movie to me.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Bride of Chucky, Christian?
I don't know, Piz. I mean, it just is what it is. I'm not really a fan of this era of movies in general. I guess you would call it post-Scream. Maybe I was too young to, remember a lot of it, but I don't know, man. Whenever we're all talking about Ronnie Yu and all that, look, the bottom line is this. If you want a movie to come out that's gonna, make more sense for the fans and all that, it's just gonna go straight to video like Curse of Chucky did. Even Halloween, when you think about it, it's not made for fans. It's made to make money, period. Was it made by fans? Sure, but it's just it is what it is, man. I mean, if you like it, awesome. If you don't, you don't have to. It just, as we go on, you're going to see Don Mancini. I'm just not a fan of him. So nothing personal, but the more he takes control of this franchise, it's going to get crazy. And knowing that he's gay, Seed of Chucky's makes a lot more sense to me now, because that's clearly a movie about himself. And I'm not, no, I don't mean it as a joke. I'm sorry, because I'm all for, I'm all for personal, whatever you want to do. That's how I am. But
Don Mancini's gay?
Don Mancini's gay, so that's why Seed of Chucky makes a lot more sense. It's a movie about being not knowing what you are, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of the movie, but you know what? I don't think it's just a bad movie. I don't ever really feel the need to want to watch it. But I give a lot of that to the era it was made. I'm just not really a big fan of, the late 90s post-Scream. It is what it is. So
it's kind of a double-edged sword, because at least a lot of horror was coming out, but it wasn't a lot of good horror.
Well, there's a couple of good movies, but
I agree with you. It's a pretty shitty time.
If you look at 98 in particular, that's Halloween H2O came out that year. Mm-hmm. And Halloween H2O played it straight. I would argue, and you guys feel free to disagree, but we've already had our debate about this movie. Like, I think I like Bride of Chucky more than I like H2O, frankly. Because at least to me, because like H2O feels like a hollow shell of like what it was supposed to be. Bride of Chucky at least feels kind of like fresh, like they're leaning into something new, kind of trying to take a spin on their old material. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of hard, play it straight relative to the subject matter. It's Michael Myers coming back to get Jamie, and then the other movie is a doll fucking another doll. So, I mean, play it straight is kind of a relative term,
Well, yeah.
In the sense of,
Cool J quoting erotic fiction to his girlfriend on the phone.
Oh God, no! Let's
I
not.
know, but I still dare say.
I mean,
I still dare say it's not the same a doll fucking another doll. I mean. But I understand what you're saying. I'm not a big fan of H2O either. Just the time period, like I said, it's Hollow Scream H2O. It's what I call it. So, but we're gonna get to everybody's favorite film coming up next. Seed of Chucky.
The least we talk about this one, the better. I say.
I think Piz is gonna surprise y'all on Seed of Chucky.
Christian, I know you grew up. Christian, I know you grew up in another dimension in the video store because you got to see Pinhead and fucking Halloween movies and Child's Play and every Jackie Chan movie that came out for like fucking 20 years when you entered the new dimension. Do you know what I'm saying, homie?
What?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
You guys know that was Alexis Arquette at the beginning of Bride.
Yep.
And I was like, who is this weird Marilyn Manson type person? And he's got this weird like lip piercing, and you immediately know that's just going to get ripped out. At some point.
Yeah.
And man, that was just I don't know what that was going for, but it really reminded me of the 90s.
Alexis passed away not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
What? He died?
Yeah. Complications of AIDS, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But yeah, I mean, I'll give it this, and I mean, you mentioned, you brought it up, Eric. H2O went sort of safe, and at least Bride of Chucky, they tried to kind of mix things up a little bit and do something different. Some of it works for me, some of it doesn't. It was a big enough success that it did spawn a sequel several years later, and that sequel was Seed of Chucky, 2004. Now I know for myself and for Stingray, we'd never seen the movie before doing this. So I sat down yesterday and I watched Seed of Chucky, and brace yourself, guys. Brace yourself. Seed of Chucky is better than the original. There's no doubt about it. Seed of Chucky blows the original out of the water. Okay. The little the Glinda puppet just
that's so stupid to have that reference in there. What fucking idiot in the theater in whatever year that shit came out is going to get that reference?
Nobody.
Stupid.
I don't know. Seed of Chucky just kind of washed over me. Like I can't say I necessarily liked it or disliked it. It just had kind of no effect on me whatsoever. It looked and felt really low budget and just kind of like, I don't know. It was like Don Mancini's just out of ideas. So he's like, let's throw a kid in here and let's make him, what would you?
He pisses himself a lot when he doesn't.
He pees on himself a lot, but he doesn't have an organ to pee out of.
Well, I felt like if you think about
it, hang on, Bruce. Sorry. I know I'm doing this a lot. Can I get a real talk, Jay?
Real talk.
I can relate to Glenn a lot because I've pissed myself a lot too. But that's neither here nor there. I love you guys. Oh yeah, McGriddles and Alice is hot in Friday the 13th. All right, bye.
Before we do move on to Brad, to Seed of Chucky, I want to ask you guys this: what do you guys think how are kids today reacting to Chucky and Child's Play? And Stingray, I know you have two young daughters who both love Chucky. What is it about Chucky that they love? Is it just that he's a mean, evil killer doll, or?
That's a good question. It scared me when I was their age. So I mean, they're not scared at all. I really put it on so they'd shut up. Like they're like, this isn't scary. So I put on Child's Play, and they just loved it. I haven't shown them, obviously, Seed. I'm not going to.
You could show
Bride.
You could show them 2 and 3.
Yeah. They've already seen all 3.
Oh, okay.
And they love all 3 of those.
But I wonder. Well, go ahead, Gary.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Biz.
Well, I was going to say, it seems like, even with the popularity of, and this may just be on me, but, Chucky is, I don't know if would you classify him as A-list with like Jason and Freddy and, those guys? He seems to be somebody like, I see him like here's how you know how popular a horror person is. When you go into Hot Topic, how many Friday the 13th shirts are there? How many, who's represented in the Hot Topic section? And there's always Chucky shirts in the Hot Topic section. So clearly he's still hot. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I think I forgot where I was trying to go with this, but what I'm trying to say here is Chucky is still a hot commodity, and clearly Universal knows this because they're doing the reboot, and the Sci-Fi Channel knows this because they're doing a television series, so.
Well, I mean, there's 7 movies, so I mean, if you put like Pinhead on the list, I think you got to put Chucky on the list.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Chucky. I don't know. I think Chucky stands over Pinhead. If we're talking about like a ranking of Michael, Jason, Freddy, and just to be non-controversial, I'm not going to say where those rank for me, but if we just all agree those are the top 3, I'm not necessarily sure how you rank under that, but again, maybe Leatherface comes in back number 4, but like I think Chucky ranks, right? I mean, first of all, here's a point that I was going to save to the end, like once we kind of got through the whole series. But I think the Child's Play series deserves credit. It's been the same story and continuity, and again, the continuity's been somewhat mucked up at the end here, but like it's been the same story all the way through. We're on like what, the 4th dimension of Halloween now. The 4th parallel universe of Michael Myers.
Pretty much.
I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, they haven't even really made more of those. After a certain point, the Friday the 13th movies just kind of, again, starting with like Jason Goes to Hell, it just sort of became a thing they made and didn't really seem to be tied to the other stuff. I think Chucky deserves some credit for that. He's the same story that's been going on since 1988, and that's pretty cool, I think. I don't know.
If you look at the quality of the movies too, I mean, there's a lot of really bad Hellraisers. There's a lot of really bad Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there are that. I mean, I think Seed's better than like some of those Nightmare sequels.
I think.
Man.
Part 5.
I think too that Chucky is probably far more accessible to young people today, definitely than Pinhead, than Leatherface, and probably more so than Freddy these days. I don't know about Jason. I don't know about Jason and Michael. Jason had a big resurgence with Friday 13th the game. Michael's had a big resurgence with Halloween 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably the random horror fan to just the random, I don't know not the random horror fan, but maybe just the casual moviegoer. If you said rank the big 3 or big 5 horror people, they'd probably go Jason, Michael, and Chucky, honestly.
Depends on who you're talking to. You're talking to like an average person. They call. They call Jason Mask Michael Myers all the time.
And Jigsaw would be on the list probably.
Oh God.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I think too that inherently, I think that idea, like what you were saying, Piz, with accessibility, is the fact that a guy with a burnt face and long fingernails, that might be associated with 80s, hockey mask with the 80s, Michael Myers with the 80s. A doll that cracks jokes and is scary, for some reason that just translates to every generation for some reason. And I think that's why Chucky endures. It's just because it's a goofy idea that for some reason people are really terrified of dolls.
Mhm.
Well, those
Yeah.
movies,
That's why it
that's actually a really good point, Monty, because those movies, some of the Friday the 13th movies are really very dated. They're very 80s, like
Oh
just
yeah.
like everybody's dressing and everything. And I'm not to say that the early Child's Plays are necessarily timeless, but they don't. It doesn't feel like the first Child's Play movie. I don't know that it necessarily feels like it's locked in the 80s or that
Right.
it belongs to a specific. I mean, it could be early 90s, Frank. I mean, it could be anywhere. There's nothing that makes it centered in time in any way. And the other films, because like we were talking about with Child's Play 2, that's such a focused movie. I mean, that one kind of almost is timeless. It's really, like you say, they're like in the house and then they're at the factory. And that's kind of all you're sort of so focused in, it doesn't matter what clothes they're wearing or that maybe they do or don't have cell phones. And even part 3, I think, kind of lives in its own sort of time frame. When you start getting into Bride, I think, to the points you were making, because of all the heavy metal and the stupid 90s shit they put in it, like, it starts to be dated. But yeah, that's a great point. That's a fantastic point.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty much why it lives on. I mean, it's just an idea that everybody. I don't think a doll is scary, but apparently, I mean, if you just put that on a poster, a doll with a knife and a funny face, it just translates with everybody. I don't know why.
Well, and and part of it is also because they're still making Child's Play movies. You know what I mean? They're making Chucky movies, and so I mean, he's fresher in the conscience of people than, say, Freddy Krueger, who we've not heard anything from in years. You know what I mean? So,
not to mention, who is Chucky's competition in terms of size and all that? It's like is there a Jason to Chucky's Freddy in terms
Right.
of that size? He's one of a kind, genuinely one of a kind. Sorry, Charles Band.
Yeah. Is there any? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. I wasn't going to say anything that had any merit anyway.
I was going to say, can anybody say anything positive about Seed of Chucky?
It was Don Mancini's life story. I mean, that's what it is. Because I could tell you guys haven't listened to this podcast, which I'm serious, y'all need to go listen to it post-mortem. Don Mancini basically said this movie was about me. Not necessarily that he wasn't sure if he was a man or a woman, but he was really dealing with his coming out at the time. And this movie represents that to him. So it's very interesting watching this movie after hearing what he said. So, and he is a very big fan of this movie, because I believe I think he directed it himself.
He did.
He's very proud of that movie. He's very proud of that movie, and he doesn't like that everybody talks crap about it.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if you like this, if you don't like this movie, I'm not going to try to convince anybody to not watch the TV show. That's not my job. But if you don't like this movie, just be forewarned. He plans on bringing back Glenn. He plans on bringing back Glenda. That's what the show is going to be about. He said that, so that's out of his mouth, not mine.
Well, we haven't gotten there. Well, so two things. One of the points I was going to make about Seed of Chucky before is that I sort of felt like it really let me down the end of Bride of Chucky. And again, I know some of you guys didn't like this because you didn't like Chucky had a penis and was having sex and doing that stuff. But I just thought the fact that, like, Tiffany had a baby, like, that's the last shot. It's like, oh God, she had a baby. Like, what is this thing? Mm-hmm. To me, Seed of Chucky just didn't really deliver on the promise of what that was going to be. It was horrible. So I'm sorry if I'm insulting Don Mancini's coming out tale, but I don't think it's a very good movie at all.
Knowing that, man, he really kind of handles the transgender thing in a comical way, though. Like, it's not very sensitive, like someone going through something similar to that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If without knowing that and you just watch the movie, you just think, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's got the British accent. Oh, it's
let's
funny,
you just call it what it is, But this is where me and Don Mancini just, and it has nothing to do with that. God bless him if he's proud of who he is. I love that, but just keep him away from this franchise.
Christian, in other words, it's where this is where it's like in Fast and the Furious, but instead of Vin Diesel and Paul Walker splitting the roads, it's you and Don Mancini.
Yeah.
That's when I see you again.
But we were
already
drifting with the previous one. But no,
okay.
whoever said that Bride of Chucky was like a Academy Award winning film before, I would compared to Seed of Chucky, I'd agree with that. But you know what? Who am I to judge? If anybody out there watching this video likes Seed of Chucky, that's awesome. My job's not to convince anybody to dislike the movie. That's ridiculous. So,
Oh no, I'm telling you, this movie is bad. People watching won't like it. I don't recommend you waste your time.
No, I'll say there's a few good things about this film.
There were some interesting things, I think, particularly with the Jennifer Tilly character, where she's talking about, she's like, look, I'm an Oscar nominee. Now I'm doing this crap. Like that had to be taken directly from a conversation she had with Don Mancini. You know what I mean? And like her, desperately trying to get, I mean, I think a lot of that probably was for real from Jennifer Tilly's, you know what I mean? But, the stuff with somebody mentioned it in the chat about Chucky pleasuring himself and then walking around with the cup. What am I supposed to do with this? I did think that was kind of funny. Aside from that, I can't remember very much of the movie that had an effect on me, to be honest.
Well, we get to see the doll Tiffany's breasts.
That's right. Forgot about that.
Which is disturbing.
Yes.
John Waters is in there, and I think he would only do it if he got killed. I thought that was cool. I like John Waters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did this movie go to theaters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I guarantee you there was some of those seats in the theater doing this about halfway up, people getting out of them.
Let's see. The movie cost $12 million to make. It grossed $17 million. Its cumulative worldwide gross, according to IMDb, was $24 million.
Wow,
that's a success.
So we made money. Woo!
It made money. I'll give it that. But there was also a good period of time, right? So I mean, you missed. It was like Bride of Chucky was probably successful because number one, like somebody said, the marketing was really good for it. And it had gone 7 years had gone by. So what was it? Another 7 years or so when this one came out?
I think it would have done better if they'd come out closer. Like I remember hearing about this movie not long after Bride of Chucky came out. I don't understand. Like, I'm not sure. And again, Piz or someone who's more in the know, like, why did it take so long for this one to come out? Was it did Bride do as well as we thought it did, and so we could justify a sequel, or what was the deal?
They probably kept saying, this script is bad, Don, rewrite it.
Let's do another treatment on this.
Yeah, give me another treatment, Don.
But
I would hope.
Like Britney Spears is in the film, okay? And it's really her, right?
I don't know if that was really her or not.
Okay.
No, I don't think it is.
That was probably $10 million of the $12 million.
Yeah, I thought it was really her, but it was like not one of her songs playing. It was like a copycat type song they were playing, because I obviously didn't have the rights to it. And then Redman is quite a big. He has quite a big role in the film.
Yeah.
The actor Redman. We all know him from his acting career.
An interesting casting choice.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Is Redman being in this movie more embarrassing than Busta Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection?
No.
The chorus of no's makes that moment perfect. Okay.
But I mean, wouldn't it have been? It would have been funnier if it was like Rob Reiner or something. You know what I mean? Like just like I don't know. That was just an odd casting choice. Redman. Like where did I don't know. I don't know.
I remember reading about that, and then I remember I was at a theater. Because guys, I've never seen Seed of Chucky, so I literally walked into the theater, not to pay for it because I was stealing, walking into another movie without paying, but I walked into Seed of Chucky and I saw Redman, and to which case my back turned towards the screen and I walked back in.
Now, look, Redman is casting a film. That's his whole reason for being with Jennifer Tilly.
No, he's casting a Bible film.
Oh,
He's
She's going
casting.
to play Mary, right?
She's going to play Mary. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And he thinks she has like nice breasts, so that's why he agrees to have dinner with her or whatever.
Exactly.
I do too.
Oh yeah, I mean, better than her acting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, let's move. Let's put Seed behind us and let's move on.
I could spend some more time on it, but okay, let's go ahead.
I really wanted to rewatch Cult of Chucky for this show, but I didn't get. I just ran out of time. But I do remember really liking Curse of Chucky. What are you guys' thoughts on Curse of Chucky?
I was excited when they announced it, and I remember it got like launched. I think it was like direct to VOD, and I think Netflix got it immediately when it premiered too, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
I kind of watched it pretty quickly after it came out, because it was being like because they showed a trailer for it, and I was really interested to see how they were going to try to pivot back from comedy into being scary again. Like, would they be able to pull that off? I don't know that they did, but I almost feel like they made it. They kind of pivoted again, where it's not so much scary as they've kind of become like psychological thrillers. If that seems weird to call like a Chucky movie like a psychological thriller.
Right.
But that's kind of how Curse plays out. Same's true of Cult. I'm not going to jump ahead, but I liked it. I kind of dug it, and I thought that Brad Dourif's daughter was it Fiona Dourif? I guess is her name. First of all, I think she's kind of cute, and second of all, I thought she kind of turns in a really great performance. It was kind of a weird wackadoo sort of movie. Feels like it was made in Canada, probably because it was, I'm guessing. But I don't know. I liked it. And again, maybe I have a low bar, but after Seed of Chucky, I think I would have liked anything that they put on that was made with half a bit of talent.
I'm sorry, I have to say this. Imagine if you were dating Fiona, and you go to Thanksgiving, and Brad is right there at the end of the table, and like you're like, oh hey, what's up? Oh, so you're her dad? Oh wow, okay, I know you from movies. And then he's like, pass the fucking gravy. And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's like just silence. There's like 30 people in fucking Brad Dourif's mansion. Fucking hilarious. Yeah. He's not usually like this. Oh my god.
I'm sure he'd be a very convivial host if you ever had lunch with him and his daughter. But yeah, I agree. I thought she did a fantastic job, and she is kind of cute. But I thought she did a great job in that movie. But yeah, I just remember bits and pieces of it. I know, of course, Alex Vincent was back in the fold.
Sort of.
Yeah.
The Easter egg at the end, right? Just like
that's really all it is in that movie.
Yeah, but it's a cool Easter egg though.
And Jennifer Tilly's at the end also.
But it's a cool Easter egg though. But yeah, I recall really liking it. I just wish I had an opportunity to rewatch it before the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Curse of Chucky, Christian?
Hey, I was going to jump in before I forgot what I was going to say. I really thought the movie number one was theater quality. I thought it would have been a great theater movie, and I thought Don Mancini, what he did was genius in my opinion, because trying to make Chucky scary, I was like, well, it's going to be hard to make Chucky scary because I know the character. But I thought what made it work really well was in my opinion, he played on suspense, not trying to make the doll scary. Come on, let's talk about that scene where they're eating the chili and one of them's getting poisoned. I mean, I was sitting like this the whole time. So I thought Mancini played it on. I saw it as a suspense, whatever you want to call it, suspense thriller. I don't know, whatever you want. It was this edge of your seat horror movie. So I thought that was ingenious, and I thought it was the best since part 2. So that's all. I'll leave it at that. So
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the special makeup effects were cool. The guy's head, the preacher's head falling off, and I just thought Mancini, he got his shit together. He made a good movie. It was point blank period. It's a good movie, and I thought it was theater quality. And it's kind of a damn shame it wasn't. So yeah, that's what all I'll leave it at. Is I thought it was fantastic.
Anybody else got anything they want to add about Curse of Chucky? Stingray?
I like the scene when she pulls off the makeup and you see the stitches.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't expecting that. I didn't realize that this was meant to tie into that timeline at all. When I originally watched the film, I liked that a lot.
I agree. Because I was actually wondering if this was some sort of like a soft reboot.
Yeah.
And I liked how like that was sort of the twist of the movie. Is it like, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of unclear what's happened, but like Chucky's got some new scheme, and this is like what he's doing.
Well, it kind of felt like a reboot too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Up until that point.
I did not. So when I saw this movie, I liked the tag with Alex Vincent at the end. I like it less now that I've seen Cult, and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I don't know. It's like if you're gonna bring Andy back, like they just completely like just wasted him and like wasted that story. Like they didn't really even use him. Like that was, to me, that was the disappointment of Cult. And I would like to compliment on that one, Fiona Dourif again. I thought the movie had some interesting stuff, but to me that drags that one down way more for me. That you go through the trouble of bringing Alex Vincent back, and then you don't even use him. Like, why do that at all? I don't know.
And we need to put a stop to end credits or after credit sequences because I missed that. I'm not thinking a Chucky movie is going to have a post-credit sequence, so I had to go back and watch that later.
What do you think, Monty? Have you seen Curse of Chucky?
I actually did not see Seed or Curse.
Mm.
I was actually trying to find it before we watched this, and I was just like, where?
Well, you can skip over Seed, check out Curse.
I think you'll like it, man. Check it out. I think you'll like it a lot.
For sure.
Sorry for spoiling the end.
Oh no, I saw that on YouTube like a couple years ago.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go.
I didn't care. I was already over it. I was just like, what's the big twist? And I'm like, oh, Andy's back. Oh, okay, cool.
Well, that's just the thing. To be honest, it's almost not a spoiler because that's at the end. It doesn't really affect anything in the movie. So you can still watch the movie on its own merits, and it should be fine. Like Jay's saying, they kind of just threw it at the end of the credits. It doesn't really seem to affect anything else that happens in the movie. It plays more into some stuff that happens in Cult, which I think it sounds like you saw that one, but yeah.
I'm fascinated by here. I want to see that dinner scene that I've been reading about.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
I saw clips of it, but I cut it off because I was like, I don't want to see it.
Fantastic.
The entirety. So
best movie Don Mancini ever directed. I don't know what else he's directed. I'm just gonna assume it's his best though. I mean, it's a compliment though. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's really good in my opinion.
Orc, you want to jump in? Your thoughts on Curse of Chucky? Have you seen the film?
Yeah, I've seen all, because I'm actually a fan, unlike you, Pizzo. I don't wait to see movies. I'm the horror general, so you need to get on my level. All right, homie. Anyways, I like the use of the elevator like it is in the first one, but I think they use it more effectively, especially because she's in the wheelchair and she's like kind of fucked, in that way. That's great, and I thought the house for basically the whole film, besides flashbacks and shit, it mostly just takes place in there. I think they use it like that big ass fucking house in like Vancouver, or wherever the fuck it is. Like it's really effective, or maybe it was like or Manitoba. I don't know, but they was shot in Canada, like you guys said. So yeah, I'd say Curse is a little bit better than Cult too. Before I cut somebody else off.
Okay,
that's a good. Orc actually mentioned something that I forgot to. Fiona's character is like disabled.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was just really interesting because you don't, just generally speaking in movies, you typically don't have too many protagonists who are disabled. Usually it's some ancillary character, or it's like they're the character in the movie and that's what the movie's about, them being disabled. Mm-hmm. I like that she was in the movie and she was disabled, but like that was not the focus of the movie. And I just think it was an interesting character choice. It plays like to a different level of kind of like Christian's saying, like from some of the suspense. like she's not able to flee from Chucky. That's always the thing with Chucky, right? Like he's just a doll. Like why can't these people just freaking bash him against the wall? So you give her kind of a disability. It makes it more frightening that like is she able to really deal with him? To fight back. So that's just an element of that movie that I think. And again, I apologize I didn't bring it up sooner, but good call, Orc. Like that, I think that's a great element that they added to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they used that for some good moments of tension in this film and in Curse.
Yeah.
Oh no, Cult.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice that you're vaping, Christian. What flavor are you vaping?
I'm actually I'm just a horror addict. I'm sure like you are. It's called Pennywise. It's kind of like a bubble gum, but it's non-nicotine. I just the band I'm in, all the guys in the band vape, and I just smell it. I'm like, oh my god, what's that? And then I just got a little smock, and it's comforting, keeps my ADD under control. So,
Vape Nation, motherfucker!
I can't ask
Nation.
I can't ask Mike what he's vaping because he's not been here in a while. But
you know what? Fuck B-movie Mike. He's too real right now, man. He's got to get back to the internet and be a fake ass bitch like me. Anyways, Christian,
Mike
you're
is-
the new B-movie Mike, but
Mike
you
is,
have hair.
you know,
And,
Mike is
yeah.
doing, you know, he's doing his thing. You know, Mike sends his love.
I'm just kidding, Mike. I love you. You know that.
He's still watching the shows, and he told me to thank everybody who sends him such, who ask for him and ask about his whereabouts. He appreciates that. So, but
and Jam Monster will be the answer to what is
Jam
vaping.
Yeah, Jam Monster. Yes, Jam Monster.
I feel bad because usually when Mike's here, I can always count on him to be the more negative one. I feel like I've been the negative one on a lot of these. Usually I've got Mike to tell me, it's hog shit, it's terrible.
It's like one thing, I miss a lot. Like if I could just, I think sometimes about what could have been. It's like, what could have been if I, asked that girl out? Maybe I would have gotten laid. Or maybe it's like if I played that sport, maybe something might have been different. But with the show, it's like, what if we had Lauren, James, and B-Movie Mike all on the same show? I think someone might actually die, but it'd be entertainment, and then you can throw ads on it, so it's fine. Plug it, and then we can start a Patreon. I love you guys. Woo! All right.
Well, let's dive into Cult of Chucky. Now, I have seen Cult of Chucky. I was not a big fan of Cult of Chucky, but you guys, thoughts on Cult of Chucky?
So this has got the idea that Mancini's been wanting to do this whole time.
Yeah.
Multiple Chuckies.
Yeah.
I felt like that was, I don't know. I felt like that was a cheat. That kind of felt cheap when I realized that's what was happening.
Yeah.
I guess it, and again, it's, I don't know, maybe if he'd been able to do that like in the third movie, which is I think what he wanted, like again, they couldn't do it. Maybe I wouldn't have felt this way, but I sort of feel like if you're going to be in the, what is this, the 7th or 8th in the franchise, like all of a sudden now Chucky has this ability, that it just didn't feel, it was sort of like a twist meant to get you, but I just didn't feel like it was earned.
Yeah. If the devil himself can't possess more than one person, why am I supposed to believe Charles Lee Ray can?
Right.
Why at this point in the series? Why go that direction? It's like, I mean, could he go to Walmart and like possess all the dolls? Like, no matter what kind it is.
I'm telling you, it's Don Mancini up to his old shit. I'm telling y'all, get ready for this TV show. I guarantee you, Pizzol's gonna make a video about it, and he's gonna say this is bullshit.
So hold on, because let's get to that part of it though. As much as I felt like that twist was kind of cheap and it didn't feel earned,
it was a pretty movie.
I really dug the ending.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool that Chucky wins. Like, spoiler alert, sorry, but like after all these years trying to chase down Andy, trying to go to whatever the kid Tyler in part 3, like Chucky did it. He got out of that damn bot. I don't know. There was just something about that I thought was really kind of cool. Like,
it's creative. I'll definitely give you that.
Sure,
it's creative,
sure.
but I
Other than like
digress.
Freddy movies, like has like the bad guy won in any of the other kind of like the big horror films? I'm trying to think. I mean, Jason will like pop out in a dream at the end of the movie or something, but like
Hannibal got out at the end of Silence of the Lambs, so
well, I guess that's true. I don't know if I count him. I don't
They
know if
Live.
yeah, They Live, yeah.
The Thing.
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Everybody's favorite chainsaw movie.
Well, maybe I'm only
Legend of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I get the point you're trying to make, Eric.
Yeah. I just kind of dug that. And it was also kind of like, there's also sort of a weird sort of a meta thing that the movie didn't hit you over the head with necessarily, but I do think there's a certain irony in it's Fiona Dourif possessed by Chucky the doll, voiced by her father. Like, I don't know. There's just something kind of creepy and weird about that, but I dug it. I thought that was cool. That's kind of what made me excited about the series, if it's going to play off of that. Now, Christian, if you're telling me it's going to be more weird, freaky Seed of Chucky shit, I'm...
Like I said, that's out of Don Mancini's mouth, not mine. So
I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it, but
I didn't even know they were coming up with a Child's Play TV series.
I didn't either.
I literally just mentioned it. Like this is news to me just now, so I'm gonna look it up.
Here, I'll get it out for you.
So,
I mean, look, the movie was pretty. I thought, as far as directing and shooting a movie, Don Mancini's got chops. He can be a very good director, but he needs to stop writing his own shit.
This and Cult felt very low budget because they both are low budget. But some of there's lots of really cool kills in Curse, but a lot of them are CGI, and it's not the best CGI, so it kind of doesn't work very well. But
when I watched Cult, I rented it from Redbox, and it was just like on a whim because I was pretty much already done with it, and I was like, "There's nothing else in Redbox, so let me just Chucky." Okay, fine, I'm gonna rent it, whatever. So I was kind of I looked up stuff on the internet to be able to follow this one because I was totally like lost.
Right.
But I will give it credit, kind of like you said, Eric, is just the fact that, the whole multiple Chucky's thing is, since I was already over it, I didn't really care. I didn't feel disappointed because I figured like at this part, it's at this point it's straight to video.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna throw in the kitchen sink. So I was just kind of rolling with it, but I did like that Brad Dourif's daughter, Fiona Dourif, her impression of her father, and that was very odd and kind of off-putting kind of way where you see her, she's making these facial expressions and she's acting like a guy, and Jennifer Tilly is her girlfriend, but she's like an older woman than her.
Yeah.
Into that thing, and it's like, this is like freaky and weird, but I'm kind of like with it. Because the man in me is just like, this is kind of a little bit awesome, But I thought it was an okay movie. It was okay.
It's better than Bride and Seed.
Oh, definitely. I think so. Yeah. And I think wasn't there some sexual assault stuff with the psychiatrist towards the Brad? Am I right? Or I only saw it once.
I thought it was remember. In Curse. Yeah, or maybe I'm not remembering them right.
Okay, I thought there was like some weird I'm gonna help.
No, yes, there was. It's like, isn't he like belting her down and like assaulting her or something?
I think there's
something like that.
Yeah, there was a little bit of creepy stuff in there that I think they didn't touch on in the earlier movies, because you would think that like if you have a little kid and dolls and creep a serial killer, that they would mix in a little pedophilia, so some type of sexual assault sort of thing. So
this is it, Piz. This is the one that gets pulled. I'm just telling you.
Did I not? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go there. But I thought that it was interesting that they kind of added that into it too. So there's a lot of weird stuff in that movie that kind of made it a little bit different.
Yeah,
and the male nurse.
Bruce, you don't have anything to worry about because Monty, they won't discriminate against him.
No,
how to say it? Sorry, how to say it? How to say it?
What are you
exactly? You my dog. You my dog.
Damn.
This is completely off topic, but when you guys were talking about that, for some reason, what is the movie where it's a comedy where the guy is dating a woman who's in a wheelchair and she likes it when he beats her legs with stuff?
Is that's the Tom Green movie, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's Freddy Got
Freddy
Fingered.
got fingered.
Yes.
It's Freddy Got fingered.
I don't know why that made me think of that, but he dates a woman in that movie who's in a wheelchair. She can't feel from the waist down, and she likes it when he beats her legs, and she's like, ooh, harder, harder. I almost felt that. You know, I don't know why that just came to mind. I don't know.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
There you
Great
go.
stuff. I love it. Yeah.
Well, let's and anybody have anything they want to say in closing about
I agree with what
or Cult, I mean,
with what Eric said. They totally underused the Andy character in the film. Like, they had him back, and all he's doing, like, I kind of lost respect for the character, because knowing that he's just sitting up in his house on a Friday night, like smoking weed by himself, torching a head of Chucky, like that's how he gets his giggles out of life, is by torturing this thing.
Well, and I also, and maybe because it's the multiple Chuckies thing, but I remember being initially really confused about, like, if the Andy stuff was happening at a different time from when the other stuff was happening, because it just feels really weird how he's just sort of sitting there doing that, and then all of a sudden he decides he's gonna like run and try and stop. I don't know. There was a lot with his part of it that didn't make a lot of sense to me, and also just really seemed to waste the character. Again, if you're going to bring, it's a little bit like, you bring Laurie Strode back into Halloween. Again, we can debate the merits of Halloween 2018, but they at least service the character. They give her a meaty plot and give her a lot to do, and maybe you can argue about what she does or how she does it, but she gets something to do. Here, it's like you say, he's just hanging out in a cabin, torching the head. He doesn't really do anything very interesting. And then when he finally does decide to take action, Chucky undermines him immediately. There's not even any benefit to what he tried to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I got something I can kind of get behind the scenes on that. And I'm not saying this is exactly what affects his roles and his parts in the movie. I met him at Texas Frightmare last year, and I can pretty distinctly say this guy is you could tell he's just ready to move on with his life. He really doesn't like doing these movies. I could tell when he wanted to do that. He had his girlfriend with him, and you could just see this guy is an everyday person. Very nice, very cordial. Me and my wife go up to meet him. He's like, hey, you want a picture, all this? But you could just tell this guy is ready to move on. And I can tell you everything he does with Mancini is based on job to job. There is no future with Andy's character per se. I don't know what his involvement is going to be in the TV show, but when I asked him, he answered it in the sense of me saying hey, what time do the Detroit Lions come on tomorrow? I think 2:00. I was like, what's going on with Child's Play? I think he's going to do a TV show. He doesn't care. He's ready to move on. You could clearly see he's just a nice guy, but he's ready to move on with his life. Now, with that being said, I don't know. Well, Mancini, hey man, just do this for me. Just do this for me. Man, I need you. Come on, do this. The fans want you back. The fans want you back. The fans need you back, man. And he's like I said, he's a reluctant guy. You could clearly tell when I saw him, he's just ready to move on. He's ready to move on with his life. Now, Kyle, the girl, I forgot her real name. But the girl from Kyle from part 2, she was there too, and she is all about it. She's like, "Oh, I'm ready to come back. He better put me in the TV show. I'm ready to kick Chucky's ass."
Back. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
And that's cool, but what I'm getting at is just you got to kind of keep that when you're bringing the stuff up about his character in this movie. That comes to mind. He's very reluctant, and he doesn't. You could tell he's ready to move on with his life.
Well, first of all, it wasn't really a criticism of his acting.
No, I understand. I
was thinking Mancini just it was one of those things where it's maybe Mancini's thinking well, for fan service, let me get Andy in there, but
right.
I don't really want it to be about him, so I'll just kind of have him off on the side. And my criticism is more of Mancini. And my thought too would be is that if he had to convince him that much to be back in it again, like you say, maybe he really had to convince him. I don't know. I might have just said, you know what, dude, if you're happy with your life, like, God bless you, you're awesome. Thanks
Right.
for
Well, yeah.
talking to me. Like, leave him out of it then, because this to me leaves like a bad taste in my mouth the way he was used.
Right.
Like, I
Man,
wish I had him in there at all.
If I could talk to Mancini, and this is ridiculous because who am I? I'm nobody. I wish I could just grab him and shake him and say, stop while you're ahead. Get on board with these MGM guys and get involved with this goddamn remake. Please. At least have credit with that, But he's so gung-ho about this Glenn and Glenda shit. I mean, I'm telling you guys, mark my words.
I'll let Jay watch it and tell me what he thinks, and then I'll watch it.
Well, isn't that he doesn't enjoy acting? Does he just not like the filmmaking process? Alex Vincent?
It's hard to say exactly. He just doesn't like the whole scene. Like, he does the conventions clearly because it puts bread on the table for him. God bless him. He likes to do the conventions. People pay to go see him. But he's just, I'm telling you, if you could see him, this is a guy that he likes to, be in his house with his girlfriend and, feed the dogs twice a day and watch his TV and just chill. And like, he doesn't like the whole scene of, he's very introverted, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But nice guy. Don't get me wrong. Salt of the earth and a very genuine person, but he's so real when you meet him. Like, he's not like meeting, like Robert Englund. You meet him, he's so just, animated to begin with. When you see him, he looks like a fucking man witch, but he's so over the top. And you meet him, he's Robert Englund when you meet him. But when you meet Alex Vincent, it's like, I don't know if Piz has met him, but it's like, hey, how you doing? Okay, yeah. What do you want me to sign this? What do you want me to sign? Okay. You want a picture? Okay. Like, that's how he is. Just very, very quiet.
He's very low key. I think that's just his nature. He's very low key.
So that's just something to keep in mind. Maybe Mancini has to approve every little thing in the movie. Like, okay, Alex, what if I did this with Andy? Were you okay with that? Well, I don't know, because if that makes me have to come back for another one, I just don't know if I want to do it. But, let's take me out of this scene. I can, do this. So, and that's going to hinder what Mancini's wanting to do, because if he's wanting to, if he's wanting to make, if he's wanting to make this kind of movie to satisfy himself and the fans, but Alex is saying, I would be like, okay, let's just start from scratch and just take Alex Vincent out of this movie. But we'll see. You know what? I want Mancini to succeed. I sound like such a jerk. You know what? I don't want him to sound like that. I care. The guy is going. It's unprecedented what Mancini's doing. He is just holding on for dear life with every character that's ever been in these movies. And God bless him for it. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to sound pessimistic.
Well, let's move on and let's talk about the new Child's Play movie that's coming out sometime this year. And maybe talk just a little bit more about the TV series. I don't, as far as the series is concerned, I don't know how they're going to do a weekly Chucky show. I just don't know how. I mean, is it going to turn into, some sort of?
They're going to sell antiques, and the antiques are going to be haunted.
I mean, are they going to try and make it like some sort of, like Simpsons style family comedy kind of stuff? Or, I mean, what are they going to do with this?
Hear me out. Keeping up with the Charles Lee Rays, the Rays, I guess. And like every week he's got like, he's a biker this week killing people. And then he's a fucking cross-dresser. And then he's a fucking athlete. And then he's a cop. Is Chucky going like different outfits? No.
Season 1. You got season 1 down.
I'm speculating. We can only hope, right?
I think they just play it like, what is it? Married with Children. And they don't even, there's like, maybe there's killing, but it's played like a straight up sitcom, but like in the style of Married with Children, Fiona Dourif on the couch, like, just chilling, watching TV. And, that I think that's the only way to do it.
Like a single cam, right?
Yeah, single cam.
I see it.
Maybe he like works at like the Quickie Mart up the street or something. I don't know.
A day in the life of Chucky.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I'm actually more excited for the movie, to be honest, because I think the movie, I think the movie has potential. If the movie, I think the movie almost sounds like it's going to play out more so like Mancini's original version for the film, for the original film. Or I mean, clearly, like the doll is some sort of AI, and he scans this little kid, and all of the little kid's angers and fear go into the doll, and the doll is exacting all those angers against his mother and against the bullies at school. So I mean, I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game, I think that does sound interesting, and it actually sounds like a great concept for a movie. I just wish they wouldn't call it Child's Play. I think they could make that movie, and you could make it a movie about like AI and like a creepy AI killer doll movie. And sure, people would make jokes, oh, it's like Child's Play. But like, it wouldn't be Child's Play. It'd be this new concept, because clearly it is. They're using Child's Play for the name value. To me, it's like the RoboCop reboot they did, where I actually feel like if that movie had not been called RoboCop, but told the story that it told, and I don't know, called it something else, I actually liked the story in that movie. It was really interesting. There was an interesting, like, satirical angle to it, but I couldn't get past the fact that they were calling it RoboCop, and they wanted it to be that, but it wasn't. Like, that to me, and again, call me a shallow fan, but that's sort of my feeling on it. It's like, maybe the concept is good, I just don't know if I'll ever be able to get past that they're trying to pass it off as Child's Play.
Right. Well, I think it all depends on, you know, if the filmmakers are taking it seriously and really trying to do something with the story, and so much of it is going to rely on who they cast as the voice of Chucky and what that actor wants to do with, you know, if they're just trying to mimic Brad Dourif, I mean, it's not going to work. They've got to bring a whole new, unique take on that. You know what I mean? They have to attack it the same way, you know, like Bill Skarsgård could have just played Pennywise, the Tim Curry Pennywise. He tried to bring his own thing to it, and I thought it worked. You know, whoever's doing this voice is going to have, you know, much bigger shoes to fill than I think what, you know, the Skarsgård did. But I don't know. It's so much of it is going to depend on who's doing the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
In this movie. And
Wait,
even
so Brad Dourif is done.
Brad Dourif, he's not doing the voice in that. I mean, unless they do something. Which I don't know, you know, if they're going to do this fresh take on it and go in this other direction, I almost don't want Brad Dourif to be the voice, because that's just going to remind me of all the other Child's Play movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be something new, and just it's got to be a whole new, unique take on Chucky.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited. I'm not too attached to the character of Charles Lee Ray and all that. That I don't mind that it's called Child's Play. I'm more than happy to see a fresh perspective on the franchise. Now, if it's good or not, we'll find out. I'm excited. I'm excited for something fresh, because I don't know. I'm burnt out on the Mancini saga. I'm really burnt out on it. So I'm excited to see fresh look on everything. I think the Buddy dolls look cool, and I like the girl.
Yeah, I'm with Christian here. I mean,
the girl that was in Parks and Rec is in this. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's gorgeous, so I'm glad to see her in it.
If you want to see her, you should watch that FX show.
Yeah. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited for a fresh perspective. If anything could use a remake, as bad as it sounds, I think Child's Play needs a remake.
If you're looking for a fresh perspective, Christian, I got a great movie for you. Rob Zombie made a movie. It was called Halloween back in, I think, 2007. Basically, what he did was he made Michael Myers he killed rats and stuff, and his stepdad talked about skull fucking. Everybody was really dirty, and it was kind of in the 70s, but then it wasn't. Like, it's a really great vision of the Michael Myers franchise. I think you'll really dig it.
It's started the MAGA movement, in other words.
Hey, I'm not a hardcore old school Halloween fan. My favorite's actually Halloween 3. Look, to keep that really short, all the people that think Rob Zombie killed the Halloween franchise, it's so ludicrous. I actually enjoy his Halloween movies because I'm a Rob Zombie fan. So yeah.
Piz, did you vet these guys?
I'm a huge fan.
Well, hey, Piz is cool. Piz
cool.
knows I'm just gonna be honest about what I like. Look, I mean, if you don't like Rob Zombie's movies, it's this easy. Just don't watch it. It doesn't mean you can't go back and watch the original films.
Here's the truth for a guy who saw Zombie back in like 2000, 2001. Okay, which isn't even that early. White Zombie, Rob Zombie, great music. House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, good movies. Everything else after that, music and movies, complete dog shit. That is the honest.
Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. I'm excited for 3 from Hell, but that's I have to go on.
I agree with you.
I'll have to jump on another group of panel for that. So.
Pet Sematary, not this one. But Pet Sematary and It Part 2, I am excited for, but I'm with you that this is probably the #1 horror movie I'm looking forward to the most. I didn't even know it was coming out until June until we did the show. Okay, cool.
I don't want to re-legislate the Halloween Rob Zombie debate, but my point on that would be the same as it is kind of with this and like it was with RoboCop, which is if Rob Zombie wants to make the movie that he made, like I have no problem. That's great. You do that. It's sort of like, but when you stamp that, like you call it Halloween or you call it Child's Play or you call it RoboCop, I think there's like certain elements of that you need to be true to. And if you want to make
I'm sorry, I have to
call it something else.
But that's the thing. It's not made
Jay,
for.
can I get a real talk?
Real talk.
Seed of Chucky, I would rather watch that than ever watch Halloween 1 or 2 remakes ever again. That's hard for me to say. That as a man-child, that is very difficult for me to say. That's how bad the remakes are of Halloween 1 and 2.
I gotta tell you, that's a really tough one. I'm not sure how I'd answer that either.
I would watch Tremors 4 before Halloween 1 and 2 remakes, and I'm the biggest Tremors fan.
Well, why don't we wrap this up? Why don't we wrap this up? Let's put a bow on the Child's Play series. Let's wrap it up. Our thoughts on the Child's Play series as a whole. Eric, what do you think?
As a whole, and we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I mean, I just think Chucky is an iconic character. You know, when you talk about like just from like a cultural perspective, everybody recognizes that face. They sort of recognize, if you talk about like a killer doll, they think Chucky. There's even a joke in like an X-Files episode once that always makes me laugh, where it was actually an episode written by Stephen King, randomly, where there's like a killer doll and Scully's investigating it. Mulder's not there, but she's calling to him and talking to him about it. And he, on the phone, as she's going through, he's like, wait a minute, you mean like Chucky? I always thought that was a funny line. But like any of these series, it has its highs and its lows. I think it seems not debatable, especially from the discussion we just had, that our sort of affection for the franchise really rests more in the first half than in the last half. And that probably fits with me too. I liked the twist with Bride of Chucky. I thought it was just an interesting new take. Some of that stuff made me laugh, but generally speaking, I like the franchise. I haven't gone out of my way to watch too many like direct to video anything. And just the fact that I kind of wanted to seek out Curse of Chucky and then Cult of Chucky, it sort of reinvigorated my, what I thought about, what I liked about the franchise. And like I said, I just respect that. And again, let's knock Mancini. We can knock him all day long, but I just respect the fact that they've been telling one story like over all these years, where we've already had different Jasons, different Michael Myers, different Freddys. It's been the same Chucky. That's about to change, but still, I don't know. I kind of respect that.
I did the math, and Mancini was 25 when Child's Play was made, so pretty young dude.
Yeah.
Jeez, he's a kid.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the series as a whole, Christian?
Nobody's been able to take Chucky off of his throne. Nobody's even really come close in the department that he's in, the mini slasher. Leprechaun and all of them guys. They're great, but nobody beats Chucky. And I love Don Mancini. Don't get me wrong. I know I've put him through the ringer, but I still want to give a lot of credit to Tom Holland. I think he came in and made the perfect movie. So I'll keep it short. And I think Rob Zombie should remake Child's Play. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Let me ask you guys this by a show of hands, how many of you guys think that the next Child's Play should take place in space?
Freeze Chucky, bring him back.
There we go.
It's almost unbelievable that Child's Play has not gone to space, because everything does. Everything does. So
if I get Uber Chucky at the end, absolutely.
Heck yeah. What are your
at that point? Oh, okay, never mind.
Your thoughts, Stingray, on the series as a whole?
I don't know, man. It's been a wild ride. I think I've liked the last two films. I don't think they're great or anything, but at least it's keeping the franchise alive. Don't like remakes. I don't like the idea that it's not going to be the voice. I forget his name.
Brad Dourif.
I'm getting tired. But I don't like that. And this TV show, we say, what's it going to be? I didn't think they could make a TV show out of the Evil Dead series either, but they were able to do that for like 3 seasons, and it was halfway decent. So who knows? I don't know. I'm a big fan of the franchise, so I would like to see it continue in one way or another. So I don't know.
Monty.
You know what? I'm affectionate for the original trilogy, and obviously I've only seen one of the back half, but I'm not crazy about the remake either because I'm nostalgic for it. But I'd be up for it to see if they go dark and sadistic. But the first trilogy is really Child's Play to me. The other ones they don't count to me.
Orc, your thoughts? Child's Play series as a whole.
Well, I thought you'd never asked, Roastmaster General Cuckboy Pizzo. Anyways, don't use that mute button. Don't use the mute button yet. No.
Mute.
I love the Child's Play franchise. Okay, it was the first movie I saw.
He's been muted.
That's good.
He's been muted.
I revoke your mute, and I'm going to the floor with a filibuster, and you can suck my dick. Okay, so here we go. Child's Play is probably the 5th best horror franchise for me. Big 3, and then I put Leatherface, then Chucky, then I don't know, maybe Pinhead 6. But I think out of a little thing that's trying to kill you, what are you laughing at?
You're just cutting in and out.
What? Oh, I'm cutting it.
You're cutting in and out. Yeah.
Out of a little thing trying to kill you, I'd say Child's Play did it the best. Leprechaun doesn't really count. Trilogy of Terror is fucking terrifying. No pun intended. And then I'd say the only movie that comes close that's a doll movie is probably Dolly Dearest in terms of like on Child's Play's level, but not quite there. For me.
One thing real quick I wanted to mention was, did you guys see Ready Player One?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a Chucky in that movie, so
yeah, that was a cool little cameo by Chucky in there.
And by the way, my new screen name for everything now is Uber Chucky, and you have to make a custom Photoshop picture, Jay. I know you're busy, but just do it, please.
I'm a master at Photoshop, so I will get right on it.
Jason and Freddie were in Ready Player One too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And the Shining scene I thought was really cool.
That's great. Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie.
I didn't like the movie, but I like little things like that.
Yeah, but I kind of agree with Monty. I mean, the first 3 Child's Play movies are kind of, they're my Child's Play movies. You know what I mean? Particularly the first one. That's the one I've seen the most. That was the one that I rented the most growing up. I remember me and my buddy, quoting that movie endlessly. When we were, way too young to be watching a movie like that, but it was, good times. not a fan of Bride, really. Not a fan of Seed. Curse I thought was good. Cult I was not a fan of. So I don't have a whole lot of faith for the TV series. I am hopeful that the new movie will be good. So there you go. Well, guys, we have been going for about 4 hours, almost 4 hours at this point.
Whoa.
So this can be, I think this can officially be classified as a megasode. This is like our first,
we did it, guys.
this is our first megasode of this season for sure. So let me give a big shout out to everybody out there who's still watching with us tonight. Steak Sauce, Jerpin, Cole is in the chat. He says this is still happening. It is, Cole. It's very happening. CB and Seagal.
Sorry, hang on.
Sure.
Sorry, hang on. It was my. I think my headphones. They're supposed to be really good for what the price is, but was that Cole or was that Cole's gay?
Just Cole.
What do you want confirmation?
The original Cole.
The original Cole.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, Cole. How you doing? We miss you, buddy.
But yeah, let's see who else is still with us here tonight. Barbecue Network, Borderline 11, Joe Caraluzzo. So yeah, thanks for hanging out tonight, guys. Thanks for a lively chat. We definitely appreciate it. Dave Shaw, you're still here. Thank you very much. Obnoxious and Anonymous. Cameron is out there watching with us tonight.
I think he's in my neck of the woods. He and I were talking.
Oh, okay. Very nice. And yeah, so big thanks to everybody who joined me tonight as well on the panel to talk about the Child's Play series. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, Christian. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Not thank you, Orc. Thank you, Stingray. Thank you, Monty. Oh my God. And here showing up at the very end is our buddy Eric Freeman in the chat. What's up, Eric? Hope you're doing well tonight, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thank you for tuning in, Eric. Always a pleasure to see you out in the chat. You made it just in time. We were just about to wrap things up here after we've talked about the Child's Play series for nearly 4 hours.
Eric, I just want to let you know I had McDonald's every day this past week, and I've been pumping iron so I could look like a badass savage like you.
Yeah,
but
Eric,
I'm trying.
Eric, you've inspired
out here for an orc.
Eric, you've inspired Orc. He's cut down his McGriddles from 12 a week to 10, and he's pumping iron. So.
I'm bozing now. Jay's got me. He's like, dude, you gotta watch Pumping Iron. You know, it took me like 15 years, but I watched it, and he's like, milk is for babies. That's what I say. People are posing in the mirror at the gym, and I just go up behind them, tap them on the ass. I'm like, milk is for babies. But I can't do that to chicks, or else I'll get like a lawsuit. But I'm still working on that. We'll tune in next week.
If you do that to the wrong guy, you could get a lawsuit too, or you could get a couple of teeth knocked out.
Or I could get something else. Hey, and maybe it's from that guy Mancini, right? Oh,
well, we're done.
Soon?
I should have ended the. I should have ended the show 5 minutes ago.
Get that mute button ready.
I should have ended the show 5 minutes ago. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thanks for the awesome lively chat. Thanks to my panel for joining me tonight to talk about the Child's Play films. You guys have a great week. We will be back very, very soon. Have a good one, and peace.
Night.
Build the wall.